Chapter 929. The situation, whether it was Old Master Song or Old Lady Zhu, they had both witnessed different eras. From the fall of the country to the prosperity of the country and the people, they had also experienced many things that young people nowadays could not imagine. Therefore, their willpower was far beyond that of ordinary people. Since they had already made up their minds, how could others change their minds? Moreover, they had absolute authority in each other's families. After hearing Old Master Song's words, Qin Shing figured out what would happen next. No matter what others did, they would not change the result. Otherwise, they would be challenging the two old masters. Since they made such a choice, it meant that they had already thought through all the causes and effect. How could they not think of what others were thinking? It could only be said that they thought more than others. Qin Shing stopped thinking about it. After the meeting of the Qin family, the Song family, and the Zhu family tonight, he would figure out the final result. It would be clear at a glance who was the source of resistance in this matter. As for Song Hushing, although Song Ryu said that she would deal with it, Qin Shing believed that Song Hushing was just trying to annoy him. What else could he do? The old master did not talk much with Qin Shing before he asked him to leave. After all, they had talked about what needed to be talked about. Qin Shing also knew about this matter. It was meaningless to say too much. It would only make Qin Shing feel more stressed or think more. So in the end, the old master told Qin Shing to take his granddaughter out to watch movies or go shopping when he was free. That was what young people should do. Old Master Song asked Qin Shing to take Song Ryu away, saying that it was meaningless for her to stay in the hospital with him. Song Ryu couldn't persuade her grandpa, so she left with Qin Shing. When they left the hospital, they went to say goodbye to old Lady Zhu, who was accompanied by Wu Yajun and Zhu Qingwen, so she was fine. After walking out of the hospital, Song Ryu looked at Qin Shing and asked, "I'm going back to the party school. What about you?" Qin Shing had nothing to do at the moment, so he said, "You're always working. Don't you feel bored? Grandpa Song asked me to watch movies and go shopping with you. Let's go. I'll take you to watch a movie. There's a Marvel blockbuster. I guess you haven't seen a movie for a long time." Song Ryu asked in surprise, "Are we really going to the movies?" Just as Qin Shing said, she had not seen a movie for a long time. The last time she went was with her two best friends. It had been more than 2 months. Recently, her focus was basically on work. After work, she either came to the hospital or went home directly. "Let's go." Without giving Song Ryu a chance to decline, Qin Shing pulled her into the car directly. Except for her brother Song Hushing, this was the first time that Song Ryu had gone to a movie with a man alone. However, this man was going to be her fiancé and future husband, so it was not a big deal. Still, Song Ryu felt a little uneasy. Perhaps because it was Monday, there were not many people in the cinema. Song Ryu had asked for leave to take care of her grandfather. The leaders of the party school knew who her grandfather was, so they didn't dare to refuse her leave. Even if they didn't know who Song Ryu's grandfather was, they knew who Song Ryu's teacher was. After all, Song Ryu had gone to the party school because a vice principal of the party school had directly asked for her teacher. Therefore, people said that Song Ryu was not only excellent, but also had an outstanding family background and more hidden resources. Whoever married Song Ryu would be able to make use of these resources. Qin Shing had already bought the tickets for the latest movie on the mobile app. After arriving at the cinema, he directly picked up the tickets and then bought popcorn and Coke. Song Ryu had been waiting in the rest area. After buying the tickets, Qin Shing walked over and handed the Coke to Song Ryu. "This is for you." Song Ryu shook her head and said, "I don't drink carbonated drinks. It's okay to drink occasionally. Look, other girls are also drinking, aren't they? You're so thin, you should put on some weight." Qin Shing looked at Song Ryu and muttered. Song Ryu felt a little embarrassed and took the Coke. It seemed that other couples were like this. It was okay to drink occasionally. After a while, Qin Shing led Song Ryu into the cinema. There were not many people in the cinema, only 1/3 of the seats were occupied. After finding their seats, they waited for the movie to start. Qin Shing was afraid that Song Ruyu would be too embarrassed, so he always tried to find topics to talk to her. Gradually, Song Ruyu got used to it. Marvel movies were always so fierce. Qin Shing enjoyed watching the movie, but Song Ruyu didn't seem to be very interested. She could only accompany Qin Shing to the end. In the end, she almost fell asleep. Occasionally, Qin Shing peeked at her and found that she was dozing off. She looked a little cute. Therefore, after the movie, Qin Shing was supposed to accompany Lin Su to watch the movie, but in the end, Lin Su accompanied Qin Shing to watch the movie. After walking out of the cinema, Qin Shing casually said, "I saw that you were almost asleep. Do you not like this kind of movie?" Song Ruyu didn't want to spoil Qin Shing's mood, so she explained with a smile, "No. I don't usually watch movies, so I'm not used to that kind of atmosphere." Qin Shing sighed and said, "It seems that I'd better not take you to watch movies in the future. It's really like suffering. What do you usually like?" "Reading books, listening to songs, or just walking around," Song Ruyu replied. Reading books and listening to songs were only suitable for one person. Maybe walking around was suitable for two people. Maybe women were born to like shopping. Therefore, Qin Shing took Song Ruyu into the car again without hesitation and went straight to the most famous shopping mall in Siju City. After getting in the car, Song Ruyu frowned and said, "Where are you taking me? Don't you like to walk around? I'll take you shopping. I can buy some clothes and cosmetics for you, right?" Qin Shing explained in a serious manner. Song Ruyu said helplessly, "No, I don't need these things. I'll buy them myself. You are you, and I am me. I'll be your fiancé and future husband in the future. It's natural for me to buy things for you. Anyway, it's getting late and you have nothing to do at home. After shopping, we can go to dinner, and then I'll send you back." Qin Shing directly arranged, not giving Song Ruyu any chance to refute. Qin Shing was so enthusiastic and resolute that Song Ruyu had no choice but to compromise. Just like that, she was taken to shopping by Qin Shing. This was really the first time that she had gone shopping with a man. However, after thinking that she hadn't gone shopping for a long time, she gave up struggling. Who knew that Qin Shing would bring Song Ruyu to the famous Dawang Road SKP in Siju City and the whole country? This was a well-known luxury shopping mall in the whole country, with annual sales of more than 10 billion. Even in the world, it ranked second only to Harrods in the UK. The anniversary celebration of SKP was even more important in the luxury industry. There were many local tycoons who spent more than 1 million in a single day. Buying luxury goods was like buying cabbages. However, today was Monday and there were not many people here. When Song Ruyu got out of the car and saw that Qin Shing took her to SKP, she was somewhat reluctant. She had been to SKP before and had bought some cosmetics and clothes. However, she was not very interested in luxury goods and had been dragged here by her best friends. At the same time, she could afford most of the things here. She had saved a lot of pocket money and lucky money since she was a child. A few years ago, she had made a lot of money by speculating in the stock market, plus her salary and subsidies. Now, Song Ruyu could be regarded as a little rich woman. However, for Song Ruyu, everyone should pay more attention to inner cultivation. These worldly possessions were not important. A beautiful person would be beautiful in everything they wore, a graceful person would be elegant in everything he wore, and a cultured person would not need these things to decorate themselves. However, this was only the opinion of people like Song Ruyu. If most people thought like her, there would be no need for these luxury shopping malls and luxury goods to exist. After all, most people were ordinary people, and most of them were hypocritical and materialistic. As long as there was a flaw in human nature, there would be people who would take advantage of it to make money. "It's a little expensive here," Song Ruyu said with a frown. She didn't mind Qin Shing buying things for her. Even if Qin Shing didn't want to, the elders of the Zhu and Qin families would have given him a lot of advice. However, Song Ruyu felt that it was a bit of a waste to come here. At this moment, Qin Sheng was like a rich playboy who was not short of money. He said happily, "You know that our family is not short of money. If we make so much money and don't spend it, it will be meaningless. For most rich people, buying these luxury goods is the same as buying other ordinary things. You don't need to ask me to save money, because the Chang'an Charity Fund has spent a lot of money and donated a lot over the years. Today, just choose what you like." Of course, Song Ryu knew that the Qin family was not short of money. Moreover, what Qin Sheng said was right. She couldn't force her way of thinking on others. In the end, she could only follow Qin Sheng into the SKP. Anyway, Qin Sheng was paying the bill today. As the future daughter-in-law of the Qin family, she should be used to this kind of spending. As for Qin Sheng, he hadn't spent money for a long time. Today, he would spend money to buy happiness. Humans were strange. When you were short of money, there were many places where you needed it. You kept earning money, but you were short of money all the time. However, when you had money, you realized that you rarely spent it. Except for those unrealistic expenses, it seemed that you already had everything, so you didn't need to spend money. While Qin Sheng was spending money to buy happiness with Song Ryu, the elders of the Qin family, the Zhu family, and the Song family had already met. The meeting place was chosen by Zhao Anji. After all, she was the real host of this event. She didn't want Zhu Qingwen to steal the limelight. The meeting place was a private club owned by an old friend. It was very private and would not be disturbed by anyone. Moreover, they were the only guests tonight. Zhao Anji had arrived early, followed by Zhu Qingwen. The elders of the Song family were the last to arrive. Zhao Anji and Zhu Qingwen were polite when they met. She also knew what she should and should not say tonight. She let Zhu Qingwen take the initiative. This was also a form of respect for the Zhu family. After all, this matter was decided by the Zhu family. She needed to be responsible for the specific matters of the engagement. It could be considered a clear division of labor. When the elders of the Song family arrived, Zhu Qingwen and Zhao Anji stood up happily to welcome them. At the same time, a certain old enemy of the Qin family who lived in a courtyard house next to Jingshan Park had somehow heard about the marriage between the Qin and the Song family. When he heard the news, this old man who had been hiding for many years flew into a rage. He scolded his sixth uncle, who always thought that he was omnipotent. Since it didn't work on others, he could only do it himself. Chapter 930. In the SKP shopping mall on Dawang Road, Qin Sheng was strolling with Song Ryu. They went to the cosmetics counter first, which was filled with Song Ryu's usual cosmetics and skincare products. After all, Song Ryu only wore light makeup most of the time. Her temperament was not suitable for heavy makeup, which would make her look too enchanting. Moreover, the Song family was strict. If Song Ryu went home with heavy makeup, she might be scolded by the old master. However, this would never happen, because it was not Song Ryu's style. The cosmetics were not worth much. Qin Sheng was here to spend money today. Ever since he became a super-rich second generation, he had never enjoyed the pleasure of being rich. The pleasure of being rich was to spend as much money as possible. However, it seemed that Qin Sheng did not lack anything after he returned to the Qin family, which made him feel somewhat helpless. There were too many luxury cars under the Qin family. Qin Chang'an's Bentley, Maybach and so on were all parked in the garage to collect dust. In addition, Qin Sheng did not like to be so high-profile, nor did he want to buy a flashy sports car. Therefore, he usually went out with a car that was worth millions. Not to mention other places in the country, the Qin family's mansions in Beijing were already enough for Qin Sheng to live in. Not to mention the courtyard house in Dongqing district, which was worth hundreds of millions. The villa in Xishan was also worth hundreds of millions. As for the mansions in other places, They were either villas or large flats of at least 200 square meters, which were worth tens of millions. Qin Shing did not have to worry about buying clothes and so on. His sister, Qin Ran, would buy clothes for Qin Shing every time she went shopping. Many of the clothes had not been worn until now. Whether it was formal wear or casual wear, she had already saved more than 10 set. She even bought 5 or 6 watches for Qin Shing. The cheapest one was worth hundreds of thousands. In Shanghai, Lin Su was almost the same. She bought clothes for Qin Shing more when she went shopping, as if Qin Shing was born to be a model for them. More expensive things like a plane or a yacht. Qin Shing's father had already bought the most advanced private plane at the Capital International Airport and 2 100-meter yachts, one in Dalian and the other in Sanya. Qin Shing did not have time to enjoy them at all. Therefore, when it came to spending money, Qin Shing's father was the real nouveau riche. So, Qin Shing could not buy a company with money, could he? The old man always bought companies to invest in banks, real estate, and other listed companies. If Qin Shing bought it casually, it would be too degrading. He was so rich, but he could not enjoy the fun of being rich. Qin Shing felt quite helpless. He could only spend more money today. The money he spent might not even be enough for the old man. Therefore, when Song Ruyu finished buying cosmetics and was ready to leave, Qin Shing directly pulled her to the nearest Tiffany jewelry store. After entering the door, he said to the Tiffany saleswoman, who had a good temperament, "Beauty, I want to buy some jewelry for my girlfriend. Can you help me see which ones suit her?" The saleswoman's eyes lit up when she heard this. Although she could not tell the value of these 2 men from their clothes, and only the man's clothes were tasteful, since the man could say such words, he must be rich. She did not believe that they did not know the brand Tiffany. At the same time, the man's girlfriend was really beautiful, especially her temperament was different. There were countless customers coming and going in this store every day, but there were not many who could make her eyes light up. Even when she entered the store, she was very calm, without the panic and pretended calmness of a woman who had not seen the world. Being a saleswoman in Tiffany SKP store, the saleswoman had seen countless people. She could tell whether a person was rich or not at a glance. This was experience. She would never look down on people like small shopping malls. "Sir, your girlfriend is really beautiful, and her temperament is quite special. I'm afraid that ordinary jewelry is not good enough for her. I have to help you choose carefully. If you are willing, you can also give me some advice," the saleswoman said politely with a standard professional smile. Qin Shing replied with a smile, "Then I'll leave her to you. I hope you won't let me down." "Sir, rest assured. If we don't have suitable jewelry here, I will also recommend other brands. You will definitely be satisfied," the saleswoman said generously. After that, the saleswoman walked up to Song Ruyu, who made her feel somewhat inferior. She stretched out her hand and asked politely, "Beauty, do you have a favorite type or style, such as necklaces, bracelets, earrings, rings, and so on?" There were other customers in Tiffany's store, who heard their conversation and looked at them curiously. Some of them were suspicious, while others were envious and curious. Even in such an environment, Song Ruyu was still unmoved. The more beautiful a place was, the more it could reflect the dark side of human nature. However, Song Ruyu did not do that here. She ignored the looks of others, turned around and looked at Qin Shing as she said, "You don't have to do this, do you?" Qin Shing said happily, "It's okay. You can have a look first. If you like it, you can buy it. If not, we can go to another store. Anyway, we are just strolling around." Song Ruyu knew that Qin Shing was determined to do this. She did not want to argue with him anymore, so she nodded and left with the saleswoman. She said that she wanted to have a look at a necklace or a bracelet. She rarely wore earrings and only wore them when she attended some important occasions. Moreover, old lady had just given her a pair of family heirlooms today. As for rings, she did not have any yet. The only ring she wanted to wear was a wedding ring. The saleswoman of Tiffany's, who had already memorized the brand series, immediately thought of a style suitable for this beauty. She smiled and took Song Ryu and Qin Sheng to the counter over there, and immediately began to introduce the styles to them. Since Qin Sheng wanted to spend money, Song Ryu could only do as he wished. Even if she couldn't choose a necklace from Tiffany, Qin Sheng would take her to Bulgari or Cartier. It would be better for her to choose a necklace here instead of wasting her time. Therefore, Song Ryu finally chose a necklace. For Qin Sheng, it was not expensive, just over 200,000 yuan. When Song Ryu heard the price, she looked a little uncomfortable. This should be the most expensive jewelry she had. Of course, if she wanted to, she could also buy more expensive jewelry, but she did not like it. Originally, everything was going smoothly. Qin Sheng was ready to ask the waiter to pack up and pay the bill before leaving. Who knew that a man and a woman would appear out of nowhere? The man was slightly fat and had sparse hair, but it seemed that he was not short of money. The woman wore heavy makeup and was even more enchanting and sexy. With such a configuration, anyone could guess it. The beauty with heavy makeup and red lips pointed at the necklace that Song Ryu liked and said, "Baby, I like this necklace. Buy it for me." After saying that, the woman, who looked quite vulgar, looked at Song Ryu provocatively. In her eyes, Song Ryu was dressed like a country bumpkin. How could she afford this necklace? However, the man beside Song Ryu looked not bad, just not bad. Then, the woman moved closer to the man's arms and hugged the man's arms tightly, acting coquettishly on her proud chest. "Saleswoman, how much is this necklace?" the chubby middle-aged man asked arrogantly. He did this not only to show off to his girlfriend, but also to Song Ryu. After all, he had already noticed the beauty's existence when he came in, and he had taken the initiative to bring his girlfriend and little lover to this place. The saleswoman treated every customer like a god. She did not know what the others were thinking. She just smiled and replied, "Sir, this necklace is our latest style this year. The price is 288,000 yuan. When he heard the price, the middle-aged man's face changed instantly. He did not expect this necklace to be so expensive. He thought it would only cost tens of thousands of yuan. After all, he had only given his lover 100,000 yuan today, which was completely out of his budget. He did not want to spend so much money on this woman. Money did not grow on trees. Moreover, the tigress at home was so strict, like a detective. The coquettish woman did not know what her baby was thinking at all. She said excitedly, "Baby, it's the latest style. It's so beautiful. I want it." The middle-aged man was in a difficult position, but he didn't wait. When he opened his mouth to speak, the young lady took the initiative to say, "I'm sorry, Mississippi. There is only one in the store now, and it has been reserved by this gentleman and beauty. If you like it, I can get it from other stores, but it may have to wait until tomorrow." When the middle-aged man heard this, he let out a long sigh of relief and pretended to say, "Since they have already made a reservation, let's forget it and come back tomorrow." Song Ryu and Qin Sheng seemed to be outsiders. They watched the man and woman, who were much older than each other, acting as if it were more interesting than shopping for them. They were both smart people, so they could understand a lot of things. However, the coquettish woman didn't want to lose face in this way. She glanced at Qin Sheng and Song Ryu and said, "Haha, can they afford it? Look at their clothes. I guess they don't know the price of this necklace. This is SKP, not Joy City." Great Joy City expressed that they were innocent, as they had been shot while lying down. However, compared to SKP, no one could compare to them. Originally, Qin Sheng and Song Ryu didn't think too much about it. They could see that the man didn't want to buy it, so they didn't bother to pay the bill and left directly. However, the woman didn't want to let it go, which made Qin Sheng a little unhappy. He subconsciously looked at Song Ryu, who immediately knew what Qin Sheng wanted to do. So, before the woman said anything, Qin Sheng took the initiative to say, "It's okay. If you like it, we can let you have it. Haha, if you don't have money, then you don't have money. Why are you pretending? I asked you to buy it. Can you afford it? The coquettish woman sneered and said to her baby, Baby, I want it. The middle-aged man had no choice but to bite the bullet and say, Baby, you have to understand the principle of first come, first served. They liked it first, so let them have it. At this time, Song Ryu said, No, I think that one looks better. Qin Shing followed Song Ryu's gaze and found that they had indeed noticed that necklace just now. So he asked the waitress, Beauty, how much is that necklace? No matter how stupid the beautiful lady was, she could tell what was going on. It was clear at a glance who was really buying and who was not. She said politely, Sir, the price of that one is the same as this one, 288,000 yuan. We happen to have an event today, we can give you a 98% discount. Take it and pay the bill, Qin Shing said without hesitation. After that, he directly handed the black gold card of ICBC to the waitress. When the waitress saw the black gold card of ICBC, she was stunned. All of them had gone through professional training, especially when it came to reading a customer's net worth from a bank card. This was a basic course. At this time, the waitress realized that this young and handsome man was really super rich. She couldn't help but envy the beautiful woman. Only a beautiful woman like her could match up to him. On the other side, the middle-aged man also seemed to recognize this credit card, because his previous big boss also had this card. It would be difficult for him to have such a net worth in this lifetime. His face turned a little pale. It didn't occur to him that these two young people were really rich, while he was just pretending to be fat. Only the coquettish woman didn't know this. She was still a little insensible. She didn't expect that the other party was really rich. Because of this, she was even more determined to buy this necklace. Otherwise, it would be really shameful. So she pulled her middle-aged boyfriend and said, Honey, I want it. I want it. The middle-aged man was a little angry, but he had to control his temper. When Qin Shing and Song Ryu looked at him with sympathy, he was even more ashamed. Therefore, the middle-aged man and his coquettish little lover began to entangle. When Qin Shing and Song Ryu paid the bill and left, they seemed to be quarreling. It seemed that the middle-aged man was going to lose everything. Therefore, don't pretend to be rich. Chapter 931. SKP had been the national sales champion for many years and was ahead of the second place by billions of dollars. This was not an exaggeration, but a result of the real wealth of the local tycoons. Moreover, this was Beijing, where there were many rich and powerful people. One could meet all kinds of local tycoons. After all, there were many rich but low-key people in Siju City, and there were many hidden tycoons. The middle-aged man had seen the world, so it was a bit too much for him to show off here. Maybe Tiffany was not a top luxury brand. Or maybe Qin Shing and Song Ryu, who were well matched in terms of social status, were too low-key. Or maybe the middle-aged man was cheated by his little lover. Women like her, who only knew about vanity and money, were not very smart. Or maybe the middle-aged man was also blinded by his face and beauty. It could only be said that he had met Qin Shing and Song Ryu, who didn't like to make trouble. What he had done today was not too much. Otherwise, if he had offended some powerful bigwigs, they would have found out about his background. At that time, he didn't know how much he would have to pay. After leaving Tiffany, Qin Shing continued to stroll around with Song Ryu. He bought a bracelet for Song Ryu at a Bulgari store not far away. This time, they did not encounter any drama. Later, when they went upstairs to buy clothes, Song Ryu insisted on choosing a more casual and fashionable set of clothes for Qin Shing, saying that she wanted to see Qin Shing's different look. She always felt that Qin Shing had been a bit lifeless recently. Qin Shing thought about it and felt that it was true, so he gladly agreed. However, when Qin Shing came out after changing his clothes, a young man, who seemed to be rich, was trying to hit on Song Ruyu, such as adding her WeChat and leaving her phone number. Song Ruyu completely ignored him. She had seen too many men like this, so when she saw Qin Shing coming out, she immediately went up to him. Anyone could see that she had a boyfriend. He was quite handsome, but he looked like he had kidney deficiency. His face was swollen and he had dark circles under his eyes. However, this man was quite tactful. Seeing that the famous flower was taken, he took the initiative to pay the bill and left. Before he left, he even nodded to Qin Shing in embarrassment. Qin Shing did not say much. Beautiful women were like stars in the sky, they would always be surrounded by people. Later, Qin Shing continued to take Song Ruyu shopping. Song Ruyu didn't expect that Qin Shing would be so enthusiastic when shopping. But she gradually got used to it. She just followed Qin Shing and strolled around. Even if she didn't buy anything, she would still look around. Shopping was a woman's nature. While Qin Shing and Song Ruyu were shopping, the elders of the Qin, Song, and Zhu families were already busy. There was only Zhao Anji from the Qin family, and only Zhu Qingwen from the Zhu family. There were several people from the Song family, including Song Ruyu's parents, eldest uncle, and aunt. It was said that Song Ruyu's two uncles also wanted to come, but the Song family wanted to be domineering. They thought that this was the Song family's business, so they did not let Song Ruyu's two uncles come over. They said that it was just a discussion, and it was not the time for the official engagement. After a simple greeting, both sides got down to business. Zhu Qingwen toasted the elders of the Song family and took the initiative to say, "This time, Anji and I came here to talk to you about the details of the two children." Although the elders were the matchmakers, they all agreed. "The rest is up to us adults. We want to find a time to get engaged first. As for the betrothal gifts, you can ask for them. Anyway, it's for the children." Zhu Qingwen's eyes lit up and she said, "I came here with Anji to talk to you about the details." Zhu Qingwen cleverly took the lead and set the tone. She directly said that they were here to talk about the engagement, not to discuss whether it would work or not. The old man agreed, and so did the two children. "It's settled. If you don't agree, it's your own business. It has nothing to do with us." Of course, the eldest son of the Song family disagreed. Before Song Ruyu's parents could say anything, he directly retorted, "When did we agree? Qingwen, where did this come from? Now the Zhu family is in the limelight, but Qin Shing is only a grandson of the Zhu family. Now that the Qin family is in such a storm, even the Zhu family is not going to help them. Why do they have to drag the Song family down with them? Moreover, how could the Qin family's matter be so simple? The Song family definitely would not agree. Most importantly, Song Ruyu was so excellent that she could have found a more suitable partner. Even if she wasn't from a rich or powerful family, the Qin family wouldn't have suffered the same fate. The Song family was supported by the old master, who was already very old and in poor health. If he had an accident one day, the Song family would be completely ruined. What would the Song family do when others started to take revenge on them? "Big brother, what do you mean?" Zhu Qingwen asked politely. "The elders have agreed, and the two children have no objection. So who disagrees? You or who disagrees?" The eldest son of the Song family said bluntly, "I disagree. Qin Shing and Ruyu are not suitable." Hearing this, Song Ruyu's parents' faces instantly darkened. They had discussed this matter with their eldest brother, and told him that they thought this marriage was not bad and that he didn't need to intervene. They didn't expect that their eldest brother would bring it up in front of them today. Wasn't this a bad thing? The second son of the Song family frowned and said, "Big brother, didn't we agree?" "We all agreed." The eldest son of the Song family said disapprovingly, "I think we need to discuss it again. We can't be too hasty." Song Ruyu's mother liked Qin Shing very much. After all, because of Qin Shing's mother, she was afraid that the marriage would be ruined. she hurriedly said, "Big brother, this is our daughter. As her parents, we all agree." "What do you mean?" Zhao Anji said timely, "Brother Song, old Master Song has agreed." "Does old Master Song know that you don't agree? Why don't you ask him?" As soon as Zhao Anji opened her mouth, the eldest son of the Song family directly focused on Zhao Anji. He said, "Don't think that I don't know what the Qin family is planning. I don't know how you persuaded the old master, but you just want our help, right? Do you really need to make this move?" Zhao Anji was a little angry when she heard this. She said, "Brother Song, I don't like what you said. This is the marriage of 2 children. Why are you talking about this? It seems that even if the 2 children get married, the Song family will help the Qin family. Our Qin family is in trouble now, but we won't be humiliated by others." The eldest son of the Song family laughed and said, "Really?" Zhu Qingwen said unhappily, "Brother Song, I want to know, does the whole Song family disagree, or only you disagree?" After that, Zhu Qingwen looked at the other members of the Song family. She could tell that Song Ryu's parents seemed to have agreed. As long as they agreed, it would not be a big deal. She just didn't want to embarrass the eldest son of the Song family. The eldest son of the Song family said firmly, "My opinion is the opinion of the Song family." However, as soon as he finished speaking, he was slapped in the face by Song Ryu's aunt. Song Ryu's aunt sneered and said, "Big brother, since when can you represent the Song family? Our father is still alive, right? Even if our father is gone, you can't represent him, can you?" We all agree, and Ryu has no objection. It seems that she likes Qin Sheng very much. Look at how suitable he is. Besides, Qin Sheng is a good boy. I don't know why you don't like him. Besides, second brother and second sister-in-law don't have any objections. They are Ryu's biological parents. If they don't do it for their daughter's good, you can't just let them off. The eldest son of the Song family said, "You don't understand. We are doing this for the Song family." Song Ryu's mother couldn't help saying, "Big brother, you are doing this for the Song family. We are doing this for Ryu. As long as Ryu likes him, we will agree even if she has to marry a beggar. If you don't agree, it's your business. If you can persuade our father, we will accept it." The second son of the Song family was the second son in the family, but his official career was higher than that of the eldest son. He didn't say anything because he respected the eldest son. At this moment, he couldn't help saying, "Big brother, we are talking about the engagement and marriage. If you have any objection, it's your business. We agree to this marriage. If Ryu doesn't live a good life in the future, we won't blame anyone." The eldest son of the Song family directly stood up and questioned, "Do you mean that my opinion doesn't count?" The second son of the Song family chuckled and said, "As long as Ryu is willing, no one can say anything. Second brother, remember what you said today. I hope you won't regret it." The eldest son of the Song family was a little annoyed. After saying that, he left directly. The atmosphere instantly became a little awkward. Zhao Anji and Zhu Qingwen had thought of ways to persuade the eldest son of the Song family, but they didn't expect that there would be internal strife in the Song family first. In the end, they didn't need to do anything at all, and the other members of the Song family solved the problem. However, it was just the beginning. If the eldest son of the Song family really didn't agree, there would definitely be other troubles in the future. Song Ryu's aunt hurried to smooth things over. "That's my big brother. He always cares about himself and doesn't care about what others think. Don't be angry." Zhu Qingwen chuckled and said, "We understand." Song Ryu's mother took the opportunity to say, "Old master agreed, so did Ryu. I think Qin Sheng is a good man. I really don't know why he didn't agree. I guess he said something bad to Sheng. Let's not talk about this. Let's get down to business. I heard that you want to get engaged first?" The second son of the Song family didn't want to talk about his big brother in front of outsiders. After all, it was the internal affairs of the Song family. Zhao Anji hurried to reply, Yes, we think that we should get engaged first. As for the marriage, it's up to the two kids. We can do it whenever they want. Song Ryu's mother asked, "When do you want to get engaged?" Zhu Qingwen said calmly, "We weren't in a hurry. But I asked the old Taoist priest of the Baiyun Taoist temple to do some calculations. They think that the 18th of next month is the best day of the year. What do you think?" The 18th of next month? Although it's a little urgent, we don't mind if it's a good day. The second son of the Song family thought for a while and replied. Anyway, they would get married sooner or later, so it didn't matter when they got engaged. After hearing that, Zhao Anji immediately said happily, "Then the 18th of next month. Then let's talk about the betrothal gift." Don't worry. Zhu Qingwen and Zhao Anji had talked about these things. They would give what they should give, which would definitely make the Song family look good. However, before Zhu Qingwen finished speaking, the second son of the Song family interrupted. "As for the betrothal gifts, you can give them as you see fit. It doesn't matter to us, as long as Ryu thinks it's okay." Hearing that, Zhao Anji and Zhu Qingwen were completely relieved. They didn't expect that tonight would be so smooth. Although the first son of the Song family had interfered, after all, everything went smoothly without any twists and turns. This meant that the marriage between the Qin and the Song family had been completely established and could be announced to the public. This was definitely a big news. Chapter 932. With the strong intervention of the two elders, the originally impossible thing became possible. It had to be said that the two elders were very skillful, and their words carried enormous weight within their respective families. These juniors were not allowed to question them. What the Qin family should be most grateful to was that old Lady Zhu did not hold the former enmity against her. Although old Lady Zhu did it for her grandson and granddaughter, she actually helped the Qin family. Secondly, the Qin family should thank the Song family for their generosity. The old master dared to make such a decision at this time. Not every family could have such courage. It was not only an ordinary marriage, but also the future of a family. Finally, the Qin family should thank themselves. This was the good karma accumulated by generations of the Qin family. Today's reward came from hard work. Otherwise, the Qin family would not be where it was today. A marriage was enough to change the current situation of the Qin family. Even if it could not help Qin Chang'an, it would relieve the pressure on him. However, it would relieve the pressure on the Qin family more. All parties would naturally interpret the news seriously. As for what to do next, it was their business. After the eldest son of the Song family left, the atmosphere of the meeting gradually became harmonious. Many problems were solved in laughter. At the beginning, it was awkward. Now there were 4 women, which made the meeting more lively. On the contrary, the second son of the Song family seemed to be an outsider. Zhu Qingwen had seen much of the world. Now that her husband was a famous official, Song Ryu's aunt obviously wanted to curry favor with him and took the initiative to talk about many topics. Zhao Anji cared more about Song Ryu's mother's feelings, so they talked more. After all, she was Qin Xing's future mother-in-law, so Zhao Anji had to pay attention to her. On the way, when Zhao Anji went to the bathroom, she happened to meet Song Ryu's aunt, who had just come out of the bathroom. Zhao Anji was a smart woman. She had inquired about the situation of the Song family and knew that Song Ryu's aunt was not easy to deal with. She had a certain purpose as to why she stood on the side of the Qin family and the Zhu family. Because her husband was a businessman, what he needed most was connections and resources. Except for old Master Song, the other 2 members of the Song family had no power. However, the Zhu family and the Qin family were different. The Zhu family was in its heyday, and it was possible for them to go further. The Qin family used to be the leader in the business field, and anyone could help them. This was the real help. As for whether the Song family was doing well or not, Song Ryu's aunt was not in the mood to care about it. That was why she had insulted her eldest brother just now. After the two of them chatted for a while, Zhao Anji took the initiative to say, "I heard that your husband's company has some problems recently?" Upon hearing Zhao Anji's words, Song Ryu's aunt instantly felt happy. She had planned to ask Zhao Anji about it after they were officially engaged. She did not expect that Zhao Anji would take the initiative to ask about it today. She pretended to be polite and said, "Yes, I have some cash flow problems. Recently, I have been looking for money. My hair has turned gray." Zhao Anji was not so direct. She smiled and said, "The Qin family has some friends in the business field. Even if the Qin family has some problems now, they still quite recognize us. In a few days, I will contact a few friends and see if they are interested. At that time, I will talk to your family about it." "Really? Thank you so much, Sister Zhao." Song Ryu's aunt hurriedly flattered her. Zhao Anji held Song Ryu's aunt's hand and said, "Don't be so polite. We will be a family in the future. As a family, there is no need to be so polite. If there is any problem, we should help each other." Song Ryu's aunt smiled and nodded as she said, "Of course, of course." Therefore, when they returned to the private room, Song Ryu and Song Ryu were as close as sisters. Song Ryu's mother felt that Song Ryu's aunt was the star of today's show. She felt a little unbalanced, but she didn't say anything when she thought that the matter had been settled in the end. After dinner, the two sides also settled all the following matters. Basically, each family was responsible for their own. The engagement was on the 18th of next month. At that time, the immediate family members of the two families would be present. The specific location would be taken care of by the Qin family. At that time, the Song family would be informed. Everything went so smoothly. After seeing the members of the Song family off, Zhao Anji said happily, "Finally, it's settled. I was afraid that there would be some accident. Fortunately, the Song family is quite easy to talk to. It's just that the eldest son of the Song family is a bit troublesome." Zhu Qingwen said thoughtfully, "Don't worry about the eldest son of the Song family. As long as the old master of the Song family is there, he will not dare to do anything. At most, he will complain about something. As long as nothing happens during the engagement period, the engagement will be settled naturally." Zhao Anji suddenly said, "I hope that Xing will directly make the uncooked rice into the cooked rice. That will be the end of it." Zhu Qingwen turned to look at Zhao Anji and laughed out loud. She did not expect that Zhao Anji would have such an impulsive idea. She wondered what the Song family would think if they knew. The marriage between the Qin and the Song family would probably be known by the whole city tomorrow. It would not take long for the news to spread to Shanghai. Zhu Qingwen did not know whether Lin Su would know about it or not. She did not know how Lin Su was doing now. Zhu Qingwen thought that when she returned to Shanghai this time, she would go to see Lin Su as soon as possible. She was still very worried about this child. Qin Sheng accompanied Song Ryu to go shopping and bought a lot of things. He even bought 2 sets of clothes for himself. As for Song Ryu, he bought a lot of clothes, jewelry, and cosmetics. This was probably the first time that Song Ryu had gone shopping so crazily. Although it was under Qin Sheng's coercion, Song Ryu enjoyed it. After all, it was a woman's nature to love beauty. Song Ryu would no longer be alone in the future. She would become Qin Sheng's wife, representing the face of the Qin family and the Song family. In any case, she had to be well-mannered. After shopping, Qin Sheng asked Chang Baji and the others to move the things into the car. Then he took Song Ryu to a Cantonese restaurant with light dishes. Song Ryu didn't eat much at night, so they finished dinner soon. Qin Sheng drove Song Ryu home. As for the meeting between the 3 families, he didn't care at all. Even if he cared, what could he do? After sending Song Ryu home, Qin Sheng took her home and put everything in place before leaving. He did not say that he would wait for her. After all, their relationship had just begun. Even if Qin Sheng had some ideas, he could not act rashly. Moreover, Qin Shing really did not have any ideas now. When Qin Shing returned to the West Mountain Villa, Zhao Anji had already returned and was chatting with Qin Ran. Qin Ran also knew what she should know. Originally, she had wanted to go with them today, but this was a matter for the elders. As a junior, she could not intervene, so she had to give up. After coming back, Qin Shing was a little tired. After saying goodbye to his aunt and sister, he was ready to go upstairs to rest. It was really hard for him today. When had he ever gone shopping with a woman like this? Don't you want to know the result of tonight? Qin Ran was a little surprised that Qin Shing did not ask anything. Qin Shing said casually, "If there were any accidents, you would have called me long ago. Since you haven't called me yet, it means that everything is going well." Qin Ran said impatiently, "You are quite smart. No wonder you are not in a hurry." At this time, Zhao Anji told them what had happened tonight. She said, "The engagement will be held on the 18th of next month. We can announce it to the public tomorrow. At that time, it will probably shock everyone. As for what will happen next, I guess you will be very busy. Whether it is to deal with all kinds of ghosts and deities or the changes on the side of Chang, and there must be a lot of things. I hope they are all good things. Also, the marriage between Qin and Song will break the stalemate. This will touch the cake of many people. You should be careful. I am afraid that some people will take risks out of desperation," Zhao Anji said after careful consideration. This was also to be cautious. Qin Ran and Qin Shing looked at each other and said, "Well, we know. Go ahead. You should rest. When you wake up, it will be lively tomorrow," Zhao Anji said playfully. Probably no one would have thought that the Qin family would make such a move. They all thought that the Qin family was already in a dead end, but they did not expect that the Qin family would forcibly prolong its life and come back to life. This was interesting. When Qin Ran and Qin Shing were about to leave, Zhao Anji hurriedly stopped them and said, "By the way, I forgot to tell you another thing. You can see your father again this weekend. This time you two can go, I won't go. I will tell you the specific time." Qin Shing and Qin Ran could not help but feel a little surprised and happy at the same time. Finally, they could see their father again, especially Qin Ran. She had not seen her father for a long time and really missed him. Late at night, sixth uncle, who had been trying to get the absolute control of Chang-un, could not fall asleep. The reason was that the old man, whom even he was a little afraid of, had called him. The old man scolded sixth uncle on the phone. "Didn't you say that everything is under control? Then do you know that something big has happened now, which is enough to turn the whole situation around?" "What? The Zhu family's involvement? It seems that such a long time has passed, and there is no movement from the Zhu family." Sixth uncle did not take it seriously, thinking that the old man was still angry about the Zhu family. The old man sneered and said, "It seems that you still don't know what it is. Sixth brother, this is your ability. You really let me down." Sixth uncle was a little worried and said, "Brother, I really don't know what it is. You'd better tell me directly." Suddenly, the old man shouted loudly, "What is it? Why do you still ask? The Qin family and the Song family are going to unite by marriage, and you still don't know about it. I really don't know how long your ears grow. It is said that you are well informed, but I think it is all nonsense." Sixth uncle was obviously stunned. The Zhu family had made him a little tired. If the Song family joined in, there would be no way to play, and a lot of things could be turned around. Sixth uncle asked, "Brother, when did you hear this?" The old man snorted and said, "Don't care where I heard it. I just want to know what you should do." Sixth uncle refuted directly, "Brother, I don't think this news is reliable. The Qin family is already in such a situation. How could the Song family unite by marriage with the Qin family? Although they are friends for generations, the Song family has never helped the Qin family from the beginning to the end. How could they suddenly unite by marriage?" The old man said in a low voice, "Sixth brother, you don't believe me?" Sixth uncle said firmly, "It's not that I don't believe you, I just don't believe this news." "Wait until I find out," sixth uncle said firmly. After that, he directly hung up the phone, not giving the old man any chance. After hanging up the phone, sixth uncle immediately made a few calls to ask for help to inquire about the reliability of this news. However, they all said that it was too late tonight, and even if they knew the news, they had to wait until tomorrow. Therefore, sixth uncle could only wait. The next day, sixth uncle finally heard the news. Or it should be said that sixth uncle did not need to wait, because the news came on its own. The Qin and the Song family were united by marriage, and the whole city knew about it. Chapter 933. In the early morning, the news of Qin Sheng and Song Ryu's engagement was officially announced by the Zhu family and the Qin family to the public. In an instant, everyone in the small circle knew about it. As long as you were well informed in Siju City, you already knew about it. If you didn't know about it, it meant that you hadn't stepped into this circle yet. Then, the news spread out at an extremely exaggerated speed. After all, it was so sudden and shocking. No one could figure out why such a plot had happened so suddenly. The Song family's behavior was somewhat unreasonable. At the same time, they admired the Qin family's resourcefulness, which was really amazing. As a result, many tycoons were not in the mood to do anything this morning. They were all talking about it, inquiring about all kinds of gossip and deducing all kinds of possibilities from their friends. Qin Sheng and Song Ryu definitely didn't expect that they would become the topic of everyone's conversation one day. It was impossible for them not to be famous. Naturally, those who were most concerned about this matter were those who had interests related to the Chang'an incident. When they heard the news, some were happy and some were worried. They were happy because they had made a correct judgment and avoided a series of subsequent problems. They were worried because they had chosen the wrong side and bet on the wrong treasure. If that had happened, they would have offended the Qin family completely. They couldn't guarantee that the Qin family would settle accounts with them in the future. Now, they could only wait and see how they could make up for their relationship. Another kind of people were the enemies of the Qin family. Now that such a strong reversal had happened, their advantage had instantly become a weakness. They didn't know what to do next at this moment. The one who was most worried should be sixth uncle. Sixth uncle slept late last night because of a phone call from that old man, which made him restless and sleepless all night. Generally, if there were no signs of trouble, it would be impossible for such a rumor to spread. Most rumors would eventually become the truth. No matter how the parties concerned clarified and denied it, the result would still be a slap in the face. Sixth uncle was very familiar with this. Therefore, after hearing the news, sixth uncle was a little worried. Although he said he didn't believe it, he immediately inquired about the news after hanging up the phone. However, it was already late at night, so it was not easy to inquire about the news. All parties said that they would inquire about it today, and give him a reply then. Sixth uncle was used to turning off his phone when he slept. He didn't like to be disturbed when he was old. When he woke up, it was already 10 o'clock. At this time, it was already very noisy outside. Everyone was contacting sixth uncle, including those who were asked by him to inquire about the news last night. Most people were interested in the Chang'an incident. Sixth uncle was the core of this action, so they completely followed sixth uncle's arrangement. They had never expected that things would turn out like this. When Qin Chang'an was arrested, everyone thought that the Chang'an incident had been settled and that the Qin family had no ability to fight back. The next step was to completely control the Chang'an family and divide the cake. However, they didn't expect that the Zhu family would suddenly jump out and interfere with the Qin family's affairs. Everyone was a little worried. During this time, they didn't dare to act rashly and kept an eye on the Zhu family. However, it seemed that the Zhu family didn't take any actual action. Everything was still calm. Everyone thought that if there was no movement for a while, they would continue with their previous plan. However, they didn't expect that the next step would be such a shocking news. The Qin family and the Song family would unite by marriage. It seemed that everyone finally understood why the Zhu family didn't take any action. It turned out that they were waiting for an ally. It turned out that their ally was actually the Song family. The Zhu family joined hands with the Song family and entered the trap. No one could afford to offend them. It seemed that the Qin family was going to make a strong counterattack. Everyone began to think about each other's way out. After sixth uncle woke up, he had a headache. He was old and couldn't stay up all night. His health was not good. After sixth uncle woke up in a daze, he heard some noise outside before he turned on his phone. He walked out slowly and found two trusted subordinates standing there and whispering. Sixth uncle shouted angrily, "What are you doing?" After the two trusted subordinates met each other's eyes, they let out a long sigh of relief and said, "Lord Sixth, you finally woke up. It's a mess outside. Many people are looking for you. They said that they couldn't get through to you." Sixth uncle liked silence. When he was sleeping, he didn't want to be disturbed. Therefore, when sixth uncle was sleeping, no one dared to provoke him. They could only wait for him to wake up naturally. Otherwise, they would be scolded or beaten up. "It's a mess? Looking for me?" Sixth uncle squinted and frowned. He didn't know what had happened at all. Therefore, he was somewhat confused and asked, "What happened? Who is looking for me?" The older middle-aged man explained, "We don't know what happened. The Su family and Ziyuan have been waiting in the living room downstairs. They wanted to break in and wake you up, but we stopped them. That's why they are waiting." Upon hearing this, sixth uncle was somewhat confused. What kind of big event could make the Su family and Ziyuan directly come to his door? This was somewhat unreasonable. Sixth uncle dared not be careless. He said that he would go downstairs immediately after washing up and ask them to wait for a few more minutes. 10 minutes later, sixth uncle finished washing up and went downstairs. He already knew what was going on outside from the phone. At this moment, sixth uncle was at a loss. The Qin and Song family were connected by marriage. The Song family actually married their famous granddaughter, Song Ryu, to Qin Xing of the Qin family. When he heard the news, he didn't come to his senses for a long time. Was the Song family crazy? Or did the Qin family use their great power to persuade the Song family? Song Ryu was not an ordinary girl. She had an extremely complicated background, especially her teacher, who no one dared to offend. If the Qin and Song family were connected by marriage, and Song Ryu married Qin Xing, it would be a fatal blow to the Qin family. They would not only have to face the Qin family, but also the more powerful Zhu and Song families. Sixth uncle didn't believe that the Zhu family didn't play a role in this matter. Otherwise, how could the Song family easily agree? If that was really the case, who would be able to withstand such great pressure? Not to mention Ziyuan's family and the Su family, even sixth uncle had to retreat. Then what would the others think? Who could afford to offend the Song family and the Zhu family? They would probably have to lower their heads and admit defeat. It could be said that this news completely changed the situation. Not only would it change the fate of the Qin family, but it might also change the fate of Qin Chanan. Sixth uncle really didn't know what to do, but he had to face it in the end. This was an unchangeable fact. At the top of the stairs, sixth uncle saw 3 men sitting in the living room. It was within his expectation that Ziyuan would come to him as soon as such a big thing happened. Just now, he saw 6 or 7 missed calls from Ziyuan on his phone. He knew that Ziyuan was as panicked as he was. They were the vanguard to deal with the Qin family. Now that the Zhu and Song families were involved, they must have known the roles they played in it. Sixth uncle didn't expect that the Su family would send Su Xingwei. He didn't know what the Qin family meant. They sent only Su Xingwei not to discuss things. Could it be that the Su family wanted to avoid the trouble and distance themselves from the Qin family? Sixth uncle didn't expect that the Su family sent Su Xingwei here. He didn't know what the Qin family meant by sending him here. Could it be that the Su family had something to hide? The last one was the man who came with the old man that day. Seeing this man, sixth uncle felt a little stressed. It seemed that the old man was angry. Last night, he swore that it was impossible. This morning, the news came out. His face was almost swollen. The old man just made a phone call and directly sent someone here. Was he going to show his cards? Sixth uncle slowly went downstairs with heavy footstep. When others saw him, they immediately stood up and greeted him. Sixth uncle, you've finally woken up. The outside world is in complete chaos. The Song family and the Qin family are actually connected by marriage. Is this King crazy? Zhe Yuan had lost his sense of propriety and spoke without thinking. No one had expected such a scene to occur. Sixth uncle said calmly, I already know. Although I didn't expect it, since it happened, we can only face it. How to face it? Sixth uncle, tell me what to do. My family is now waiting for my reply. If I don't handle this well, then I'll completely lose my power in the family, said Zhe Yuan with an ugly expression. He only had 3 days. If he didn't handle it well in 3 days, the elders would take away his power. Sixth uncle didn't speak. He didn't know how to deal with it, so he couldn't give Zhe Yuan a clear answer. He could only look at Su Xingwei and said, say it. Sixth master, I want you to give me a reasonable explanation. Su Xingwei braced himself and said. Just now, he had cursed Qin Xing countless times in his heart. How could this bastard have such a life? He must be so lucky that he was going to marry Song Ruyu. Song Ruyu was the goddess that countless people dreamed of. Whoever married Song Ruyu would have to work less hard for many years. He really didn't know what the Song family was thinking. Didn't Song Husheng always look down on Qin Xing? Sixth uncle snorted. Why don't your elders come? Sixth uncle, do you think this is a good time? Everyone is staring at this matter. I'm afraid it's not convenient for them to show up, Su Xingwei said helplessly. Sixth uncle thought for a while and replied, then go back and tell them that I will give them a reasonable explanation. Just let them wait. Sixth uncle, this. Su Xingwei was a little embarrassed. It was obvious that sixth uncle was perfunctory. It would be difficult for him to explain when he went back. At this time, sixth uncle looked at the man again and asked with some relief, what do you want from me? The old man, who was almost 60 years old, squinted at sixth uncle and said disdainfully, Old master invites you to go there. I hope you won't make things difficult for me. Are you threatening me? Sixth uncle was a little annoyed. The man said calmly, it's not a threat. I already said please. It's up to you whether you want to go or not. After a moment of silence, sixth uncle replied, so what? The man took a few steps back and made a gesture of invitation. Sixth uncle ignored the others and left directly. Chapter 934. Uncle's allies didn't know what to do with such a piece of news. It was obvious how destructive it was. The Zhu family's intervention had made the situation complicated. No one dared to act rashly. They all wanted to divide the Chang family and the Qin family's actions after confirming the Zhu family's idea. However, they didn't expect that such explosive news would come out before the Zhu family's problem was solved. The Song family also intervened in the marriage between the Qin family and the Song family. The Zhu family was already very difficult to deal with, and now the Song family was also here. How could they play? As long as they had a brain, they would have to change their strategy. Otherwise, if they offended these two families, they would not have a good ending. Moreover, the current environment was already very difficult. Sixth uncle could keep the Zhe Yuan family in check first. Moreover, Zhe Yuan's words were important in the family, so there wouldn't be any trouble in a short time. Sixth uncle could ignore the Su family and give an answer later. However, he couldn't evade the old man, because the old man's resources and power could not be underestimated. Especially at this time, he had to rely on the old man's strength. Therefore, sixth uncle finally calmed Zhe Yuan and Su Xingwei down. He told them to go home and explain to each other. Then he left with the man. Early in the morning, in the Qin family's West Mountain villa, everyone seemed to be in a good mood today. After breakfast, they actually played mahjong in the multi-purpose recreation room downstairs. After 9 o'clock, Zhao Anji's phone began to ring. The urgent ringtone broke the silence here. However, Zhao Anji didn't answer it. Instead, she muted it and continued to play mahjong. Everyone knew what was going on. After Zhao Anji came back last night, she had arranged for the Qin family to officially announce the news at 9 o'clock sharp. At this time, the news had already begun to ferment. The first group of people who knew the news would naturally contact the Qin family directly. Of course, most of these people were close to the Qin family, or they had kept silent before, but now they had to say something. Then Qin Ran's phone also rang. It should be her friends or old friends who were close to Qin Chang'an. After all, Zhao Anji hadn't been in China for many years. Naturally, many people didn't know her. Qin Chang'an was not here, so they could only call Qin Ran. Qin Ran glanced at the others and didn't say anything. She switched her phone to silent mode and continued to play mahjong. The Qin family had been sullen for so long. Finally, it was time for them to fight back. They would let this news continue to ferment. They didn't have to rush to respond. When everyone knew the news, they would know what to do. In the end, Qin Sheng's cell phone rang. When he saw the name on the screen, he was stunned subconsciously. He did not expect that the first person to call him would be Xue Qinyan. Qin Sheng panicked instantly. He did not expect that Xue Qinyan would know the news so soon. Qin Sheng did not have the temper to refuse. After hesitating for a while, he finally chose to answer the call. Therefore, Chang Baji took over Qin Sheng's position. While playing mahjong, Qin Sheng walked out of the room with his mobile phone. In the office by the Huangpu River, Xue Qingyan's face was extremely ugly. She stared at the phone. She would not take the initiative to hang up until the ringtone was over. She just wanted to know what kind of character this man was. Was he a coward or daring to take responsibility for what he had done? Xue Qinyan did not expect that the first news she received in the early morning would be so shocking. She had not come back to her senses until now. When she heard the news, she subconsciously refused to believe it until the big boss said that the news was spreading wildly in the whole Siju city. Moreover, this news was announced by the Qin family to the public. The Song family had also admitted it. It couldn't be a rumor. The big boss also knew the relationship between her and Qin Sheng, so he called her immediately. He originally wanted to ask her if she had arrived in advance. Now it seemed that she didn't know at all. Xue Qinyan was a little confused. How could this be? When she went to Beijing some time ago, she didn't find any clues. When she asked Lin Su a few days ago, Lin Su didn't say anything. But then Xue Qinyan understood. She finally knew why Lin Su's state was so bad during this period. It turned out that Lin Su already knew. It turned out that Qin Sheng had abandoned Lin Su, and Lin Su was shouldering everything alone. She silently suffered these injuries and pain. She did not tell anyone, nor did she complain to anyone. She just suffered like this. However, Lin Su was pregnant. She was pregnant with Qin Sheng's child. How could Qin Sheng do such a heartless thing? Didn't his conscience hurt? Didn't he feel guilty? This woman had done so much for him. She was even pregnant with his child. Was he still a human? How wronged Lin Su was. How painful Lin Su was. Thinking of this, Xue Qinyan was extremely angry. She had to call Qin Sheng. Even if Lin Su knew and scolded him, she had to make this call. She must ask Qin Sheng clearly. Why did he do this? Xue Qinyan didn't care about her relationship with Qin Sheng at all. She only cared about Qin Sheng and Lin Su. She must seek justice for Lin Su. When the phone was about to end, Qin Sheng finally answered the phone. He had already guessed that Xue Qinyan must have called because of this matter. So he didn't know how to explain. He was not qualified to explain. No matter what Xue Qinyan said or scolded him, he would not explain anything. Why don't you say anything? When the phone was connected, Xue Qinyan waited for Qin Sheng to speak, but there was no sound. In the end, Xue Qinyan had to take the initiative to speak. Qin Sheng said helplessly, "I don't know what to say." "Haha, I thought you wouldn't answer my call." Xue Qinyan sneered. Qin Sheng said a little awkwardly, "Sister, you already know? It's such a big thing. Even if I don't know now, I will know sooner or later. Are you waiting for my call?" Xue Qinyan originally wanted to scold Qin Sheng after the call was connected. But after the call was connected, all the words she prepared disappeared. Maybe it was because of her relationship with Qin Sheng. She hoped that Qin Sheng could give her a reasonable explanation. "I'm sorry, sister. I let you down. I also let Lin Su down. I'm sorry." Qin Sheng said sorry twice in a row. He really let Lin Su down. This was the most fundamental thought in his heart. He was not running away from anything. Xue Qinyan gnashed her teeth and said, "You didn't let me down. You only let Lin Su down. Do you know how much she has done for you? Do you know how much she has sacrificed for you? Do you know?" Xue Qinyan almost said that, but she held it back. She didn't know how to say it. "I know. I owe her in this life." Qin Sheng could only say so. Xue Qinyan asked, "Why did you do this?" "Why?" "Sister, I had no choice. For the Qin family I had to do this," Qin Sheng explained honestly. Xue Qinyan laughed and said, "For the Qin family? For the Qin family you can abandon Lin Su? For the Qin family you can do this? Or are you just doing it for yourself?" "Sister, I'm not that kind of person." Qin Sheng smiled bitterly. Xue Qinyan didn't know how to say this to Qin Sheng over the phone. If she really wanted to say something, she must make it clear to Qin Sheng face to face. Especially that thing. She must tell Qin Sheng face to face. In this way, it was possible to save everything. But would Lin Su agree? Even if Qin Sheng knew, what would he do? Xue Qinyan had a lot of concerns. But she was most worried about Lin Su. She was really afraid that something bad would happen to Lin Su. Seeing that Xue Qinyan didn't say anything, Qin Sheng had to say, "Sister, take care of Lin Su for me. I owe you a favor. As for what I owe Lin Su, I will pay it back slowly. If I can't pay it back in 10 years, I will pay it back in 20 years. If I can't pay it back in 20 years, I will pay it back for the rest of my life." This was Qin Sheng's most sincere thought. He just wanted to make it up to Lin Su. As long as he could make Lin Su live a better life, or reduce the guilt in his heart. Hearing this, Xue Qinyan was even angrier. "Pay it back? What do you have to pay it back? Can you afford it?" Qin Sheng was a little confused. But he just thought that Xue Qinyan might be fighting for Lin Su. "Forget it. We will talk about it when I see you. When you know everything, you can decide what to do." Xue Qinyan could only say this. She must go to Beijing to see Qin Sheng. She must make it clear to Qin Sheng face to face. Whether Lin Su agreed or not, she must make it clear to Qin Sheng. As for the final result, she didn't care anymore. Now she just wanted to vent for Lin Su. She didn't want Lin Su to be so wronged. Before Qin Sheng understood what she meant, Xue Qinyan had hung up the phone. After hanging up the phone, Xue Qinyan directly booked a ticket to Beijing. She didn't have time to see Lin Su. But she had already arranged people to keep an eye on Lin Su. She was afraid that something bad would happen to Lin Su. Because she didn't know whether Lin Su knew about it or not. If she didn't know about it before, now she suddenly knew. If Lin Su couldn't bear the pressure and did something stupid, the loss would outweigh the gain. Chapter 935. More and more people knew about this explosive news. No one could figure out why the Song family made such a decision. Considering the background of the Song family, there were too many rich and powerful families in Siju City to choose from. Moreover, Song Ryu was so excellent that many families and young talents coveted her for a long time. There was no need for the Qin family to choose the declining Qin family. Even if the Qin family and the Song family were old friends, so what? Could it be that the rich playboy of the Qin family had successfully pursued the goddess of the Song family through his own efforts? The possibility was not high. Everyone knew that Song Ryu was arrogant and looked down on many young talents in Siju City. How could she fall in love with Qin Xing? Moreover, Qin Xing had just come back to Siju City and spent most of his time in Shanghai. How could he win her heart? No matter how they thought about it, they still couldn't figure it out. However, no matter how they thought about it, it was already the truth. Those big shots involved in the Qin family should think about the next countermeasures. They should not act until they paid the price. It would be too late then. The Yang family was one of them. With their connections, it was easy for them to get the news. Yang Yi went to find his uncle immediately. Unexpectedly, his uncle was not in the community. It seemed that he was drinking tea with his friends in a tea house outside. Yang Yi ran to his uncle in a hurry. When he arrived, his uncle's friend had just left, so Yang Yi didn't have to worry about anything. Uncle, Song Ryu is going to marry Qin Xing. The Qin family and the Song family are going to unite by marriage, Yang Yi said as soon as he sat down. Yang Tong took a sip of tea and replied, I already know. The Zhu family is really generous. They can even do such a thing. What? Uncle, you mean it's the Zhu family's doing? Yang Yi was confused. Yang Tong said disdainfully, besides the Zhu family, who else do you think it is? The Qin family? If the Qin family had this ability, they would have solved it when Qin Chang'an was still alive, and they would not have waited until today. Grandma Zhu suddenly came back to Jing City. I knew it was not that simple. I was waiting for the Zhu family's further action. They didn't let me down. After hearing this, Yang Yi thought deeply for a few seconds and felt that it seemed to be as his uncle said. The Qin family's turnaround all began after old lady Zhu returned to the capital. With the power of the Zhu family, it was indeed possible to achieve this. The Song family is betting the fate of the family on the side of the Zhu family. I reckon that the Zhu family will advance further in the future. Otherwise, the Song family would not have made such a choice, Yang Tong said quietly. These were all his analysis. Yang Yi seemed to understand and asked in a low voice, Uncle, do you mean that the eldest son of the Zhu family may work for another 4 years and the one in Shanghai will go further? Yang Tong just responded and continued to drink tea. Yang Yi said thoughtfully, Then I understand. I can only say that Qin Xing has a good mother. But I don't understand why Song Ryu agreed. She doesn't look like the kind of woman who would choose a political marriage. Even if the Song family pressured her, if she really didn't want to, she could have used her teacher. I don't know about that. Anyway, it's already a fact. It's meaningless to pursue it. Yang Tong was too lazy to think about these meaningless things. Yang Yi didn't have time to drink tea. After a moment of silence, he asked, Uncle, what do you think we should do? Continue to remain neutral? Continue to remain neutral at this time? What's the point for our family? I guess that sixth uncle must have a headache now. Many people will give up. Who dares to face opponents like the Song family and the Zhu family is nothing more than courting death. Even if they are not now, they will still settle accounts later, because they are all going downhill. Yang Tong got to the point and analyzed. Yang Yifu echoed, Uncle, you are right. So you mean we should directly choose the Qin family this time? And the Qin family wants our shares, right? They have now lost their power in the Chang'an system. If they want to regain control of the Chang'an system, they need our shares. We can give them the shares, even at a discount. Even if the Qin family doesn't want it, we can still support them. And we must do it quickly. I'm afraid that others will think the same as us. Yang Tong squinted and said. At this time, whoever could see the truth behind the fog and make a decision first would be able to seize the first opportunity. Yang Yi said with interest, as long as we are the first family, the Qin family will not forget us in the future. We owe them a favor. You are smart. Yang Tong glanced at his nephew and said. Yang Yi said without hesitation, I am going to contact the Qin family now. You don't need to contact them. We will directly visit them. That is our sincerity. It is not a big deal to bow our heads. As long as we can maximize the benefits, it is okay. Yang Tong was astute. It was just a visit. Zhao Anji had visited him before. Yang Yi could not help but admire his first uncle's courage. The Yang family had already taken action. What about other families? The Li family, who had a good relationship with the Qin family, was the first to be restless. After old lady Zhu returned to the capital, the Li family had already parted ways with sixth uncle. At that time they had some reservations. Because the Li family was not bad in all aspects, they still had a chance to move forward in the future. However, if they offended the Zhu family, they would be under great pressure. That was why the Li family made such a decision. Now, such a piece of news had broken out. The Li family had already regretted their choice of sixth uncle. Everyone could see clearly what was going on. The Qin family was going to make a comeback. After all, although Qin Chang'an had been arrested, the outcome had not been decided yet. Now that the Zhu family and the Song family were involved, the outcome was not certain. Therefore, the Li family was a little anxious now. Anyway, they had already offended sixth uncle, so they were not afraid to offend them again. Moreover, what could they do to the Li family? However, the Zhu family and the Song family could really control the Li family's future. The Li family could only make up for their mistakes now. The Li family and the Yang family had the same idea. That was, the Qin family wanted to control the Chang'an family. The Li family was a major shareholder. As long as the Li family supported the Qin family could directly take back the control. Because the other families had remained neutral, the Qin family's shares had been higher than sixth uncle's with their support. Therefore, the Li family knew what to do. After making up their minds, the Li family did not hesitate to contact the Qin family. However, they could not get through to those members of the Qin family. It seemed that they were deliberately ignoring them. The Li family did not dare to delay. This kind of thing could be done sooner, so they also went to find the Qin family. The two major shareholders, the Li family and the Yang family, had already taken action, so how could the other two minor shareholders not take action? Therefore, with just a simple piece of news, the Qin family regained control of the situation. On the contrary, sixth uncle and the others were forced into a passive position. When Qin Xing came back after the call, he did not look very good. Xue Qingyan's words put him in a bad mood. He knew that Xue Qingyan would know it sooner or later. He also thought that he would be scolded by Xue Qingyan at that time. However, he did not expect that she would know it so soon. Now that Xue Qingyan wanted to come to Beijing directly, Qin Xing did have a headache about how to face her. But already what could he do now that things had come to this? He could only face it calmly. Even if Xue Qingyan did not recognize him in the future, he could only do so. Qin Xing, what's wrong? Who called? After Qin Xing returned, Qin Ran noticed that something was wrong with Qin Xing, so she took the initiative to ask. Qin Xing smiled and explained, "It's nothing. It's a call from my roommate in college. He said that an old man in his family is not in good health and wants to come to Beijing to see a doctor. He wants to find time to get together with me." Qin Xing did not want others to worry, so he could only use such an excuse to fool them. The others were dubious, but they did not continue to ask. Zhao Anji's and Qin Ran's phones kept ringing, but they did not answer it. No matter who called, they would not answer it today, because they all knew what this news meant. Amateurs just watch the fun, while experts know the ropes. They were all old foxes who had been in Siju City for so many years. How could they not understand this point? Qin Xing won a few $100s on purpose. The one who lost the most was naturally Qin Jing, who was not good at playing. However, this amount of money was nothing to Qin Jing. After Qin Jing came back, Qin Chang'an gave her a lot of pocket money. He also secretly prepared a dowry for Qin Jing. Maybe he already knew his ending at that time. Qin Xing's eyes lit up. Qin Chang'an's eyes lit up. Qin Xing's eyes lit up. However, just when they were about to go for lunch, two uninvited guests came to the Qin family's West Mountain villa. These uninvited guests were the two men from the Yang family. After being notified by the security guard at the entrance of the community, the Qin family looked at each other. It seemed that the Yang family did not call them, but they directly came to visit them. It seemed that the Yang family was really capable. Qin Ran looked at Zhao Anji and asked, "Auntie, do you want to see them?" Zhao Anji admired the Yang family's courage. Obviously, they already knew the news of the Qin family and the Song family's marriage, and the Yang family had made a choice after weighing the pros and cons, which was to give up neutrality and choose the Qin family. However, she did not know how sincere the Yang family would be today. At least for now, the Qin family was not in a hurry to need the Yang family's shares. They still had to continue to wait for other families to make a decision. Zhao Anji smiled and said, "Yes, why not? Since they are here, they are guests. Our Qin family still has this way of treating guests." As a result, the Qin family's lunch was temporarily postponed. The rest of the Qin family were waiting for the two distinguished guests from the Yang family in the living room. After a while, Yang Tong stepped into the living room of the Qin family with his nephew, Yang Yi. Zhao Anji greeted them with a smile and said, "Wow, rare guests, really rare guests. I didn't expect that you would come." Yang Tong smiled and said, "Sister Zhao, I haven't seen you for a few days. You look much younger. I like what you said. You came at the right time. Lunch is already on the table. Let's eat together." Zhao Anji continued to greet the two people from the Yang family politely. Yang Tong waved his hand and said, "Sister Zhao, we won't eat lunch. We just want to talk to you about something. Is it convenient?" "It's not inconvenient. Let's go to the second floor." Zhao Anji agreed directly because she did not want to go through too many formalities. The more direct the Yang family was, the better. As a result, Zhao Anji led Yang Tong and Yang Yi to the second floor. Qin Xing followed closely behind and greeted Yang Yi with a smile. Qin Ran hesitated for a moment and did not follow them. She just waited downstairs for the result. At the same time, the sixth uncle had already met the old man who made him quite afraid. Compared with the harmonious atmosphere here, the sixth uncle was somewhat depressed. The old man did not give him a good look. Chapter 936. Previously, the Qin family had internal and external troubles. After the incident of old lady Zhu's return to Jing City, the Li family was the first to quit, leaving the mess to others. Sixth uncle was annoyed at that time, but things were still under control. However, after the news of the marriage between the Qin family and the Song family broke out, sixth uncle couldn't sit still anymore. Obviously, Zhe Yuan's family and the Su family were in a panic, otherwise they wouldn't have sent Zhe Yuan and Su Xingwei to find him early in the morning. If he didn't handle it well, these two families might also quit after the Li family. At that time, he would really be alone and helpless, which would be really miserable. At the same time, the old man, who was the biggest behind-the-scenes manipulator against the Qin family and the Chang family and also the ally that sixth uncle relied on the most, was also a little angry. The old man naturally understood what this news meant. It was equivalent to giving the Qin family a chance to breathe and turn around. Compared with others who just wanted to control the Chang'an family, they would at most make Qin Chang'an have no chance to come out. However, the old man wanted to put the Qin family in a dead end and make it impossible for the Qin family to make a comeback. Therefore, after hearing this news, the old man was extremely angry and full of complaints about Sixth Uncle. He felt that this was completely caused by Sixth Uncle's incompetence. If he had listened to him at that time and taken down the Qin family as fast as lightning, today's situation wouldn't have happened. At this moment, the old man was sitting in the pavilion, holding bait in his hand and feeding the fish. There were a lot of koi in the medium-sized lake, many of which were very expensive. The cheapest one cost tens of thousands of yuan. The more expensive ones were the famous night butterfly and lulan. Most of them were crown tricolor and Matsumoto tricolor. It could be seen how much the old man liked to raise koi. Perhaps, as a popular saying among the contemporary young people, forwarding koi could bring good luck. When Sixth Uncle came over, the old man had already heard the noise, but he didn't turn around to greet him. He continued to feed the fish calmly, as if these fish were more important than anything else. Sixth Uncle didn't disturb the old man. He sat behind and enjoyed the old man's elegant mood. Of course, he knew the value of these koi. It was said that the old man's small courtyard was designed by a top classical master. The interior decoration alone cost hundreds of millions of yuan, which showed how high the old man's wealth was. Secondly, the old man was very picky. When the bait in the old man's hand was about to run out, Sixth Uncle shouted at the right time, "Brother, you are in a good mood. Old Six, you still have the face to see me." When the old man heard this, he put down the box in his hand and laughed instead of being angry. At this time, Sixth Uncle slowly stood up, walked to the old man, and said, "Brother, are you also looking for me because of the news just now? Sixth brother? Didn't you not believe me? Didn't you say it was impossible? Didn't you say that I would wait for you to investigate? Then give me an explanation now. I've given you many chances, but you've disappointed me every time. Old Sixth, oh Old Sixth, is that all you've got?" The old man asked several questions, not giving Sixth Uncle any chance to retort. In the end, he even used that one sentence to humiliate Sixth Uncle. Hearing this, Sixth Uncle's expression changed. He was the descendant of a famous family, and he was the famous Sixth Uncle of Siju City. When he was young, he was also one of the best of his generation. When had he ever been humiliated like this? However, in front of the old man, he had been ridiculed and ridiculed many times. Sixth Uncle did not lose his temper at all, because the old man's family was the one who had destroyed the Qin family and several other families behind the scenes. As for those who were familiar with or knew this old man, they would all address him as Elder Long. However, those who knew him were already in the minority, let alone those who were familiar with him. Back then, the old man's family had also suffered a great loss after that incident. Later, they gradually hid behind the scenes, relying on the resources saved by several generations to train agents. Now, just the few agents trained by his family were already very powerful. One could imagine how powerful Elder Long's family was. It was just that they knew what they should do and what they shouldn't do. Every time, they could always seize the opportunity in history and did not touch things that they should not touch. That was why they had achieved what they had today. If it had not been for the rise of the Qin family, Elder Long's family probably would not have shown up again. It would have been enough for them to make a fortune in silence. In the current situation in the country, big and powerful families like them were the easiest to be suppressed. However, because of the rise of the Qin family, Elder Long's family had to show up. Especially after a series of things happened after Qin Chang'an bought the hotel in New York, Elder Long's family finally realized the crisis. If they did not take action, the Qin family would really rise. At that time, the Qin family would take revenge on them. After all, the two families had a deep hatred for each other in the past. Qin Chang'an's wife was killed by their family. Another reason was the existence of the Zhu family. Although Elder Long's family and the Zhu family did not have much contact, Qin Chang'an's wife was the daughter of the Zhu family after all. And the daughter of the Zhu family was killed by Elder Long's family. If the Zhu family knew that they were the real culprits behind the scenes, what would the Zhu family do? Probably everyone knew the answer without thinking. Moreover, the Zhu family was now a towering tree. Needless to say, Zhu Weigua's status was high. Zhu Changshun, who was in Shanghai, was still young. As long as he did not make any big mistakes, his career would continue to move forward. At that time, nobody would dare to provoke the Zhu family. A series of reasons led Elder Long's family to weigh the pros and cons and argue for several months. Finally, they decided to stop the Qin family. As a result, the Qin family had a series of disturbances, and Sixth Uncle was their ally. Sixth Uncle chuckled and said, "Brother, nothing goes so smoothly. No one expected that the Zhu family and the Song family would really get involved. You didn't expect it at that time, did you? Moreover, it is just a piece of news. It has not become a fact yet. It is not necessarily impossible to stop it. It is a little too early to make a conclusion now." The purpose of Sixth Uncle's visit today was very simple. He could not lower his head in front of Elder Long. Once he did so, he would lose all the resources, which would not be worth the loss. Only by gaining the trust of Elder Long could he have the last laugh. The old man, Elder Long, asked in reply, "Do you mean that you have a way?" Sixth Uncle answered truthfully, "Even if I have no way, I will try my best. I can't just surrender, can I?" Elder Long continued to ask, "What about your allies? I'm afraid that they don't believe you anymore. Do you think you can turn the situation around with your abilities?" Elder Long asked. Elder Long continued to ask, "Brother, you don't need to worry about this. That is my way. They have already come this far, and it is impossible for them to get off the boat. I think they will not get off the boat in this way. After all, they have offended the Qin family and so on. Only by doing their best can they have the last laugh." Elder Long said gloomily, "Okay, then I will give you one last chance. If you still disappoint me, sixth brother, at that time, I will have to use my own way. Don't stop me anymore." Elder Long smiled. Elder Long's way was very simple, which was to kill the Qin family at all costs. The plot against Qin Chang'an was originally designed by Elder Long, and Sixth Uncle was just the executor. In the end, Sixth Uncle tried his best to stop him, saying that it was just a warning. Otherwise, he might really kill Qin Chang'an that night, which would really cause a sensation. As for what price he would pay, Elder Long did not care anymore. As for the plot against Qin Shing, Sixth Uncle also wanted to kill him. Unfortunately, there was an accident in the end. In the end, the two killers hired with a high price were killed by Elder Long. Hearing this, Sixth Uncle's eyes flickered. The Song family and the Zhu family had already been involved in the plot. If Elder Long still insisted on doing this, it was estimated that none of them would be able to escape. The Zhu family and the Song family were not vegetarians. They would definitely not spare them. So Sixth Uncle said in a hurry, "Elder Long, unless it is absolutely necessary, we should not do this." Elder Long did not give up. He said, "That depends on whether you can satisfy me or not. If you always disappoint me, I will not care about these things anymore. At that time, you can only look after yourselves." After saying this, Elder Long waved his hand to signal that they should leave. This was definitely the last chance he would give to Sixth Uncle. If he could not seize it, he could not blame anyone else. In the living room on the second floor of the Qin family's villa in West Mountain, the two from the Yang family were negotiating with Zhao Anji and Qin Xing. At this time, they had not entered the main topic yet. Yang Yi did not speak much. Most of the time, it was his first uncle who did the talking. He just quietly looked at Zhao Anji and Qin Xing, especially Qin Xing. It did not occur to him that this man would marry the goddess of the Song family without saying a word. This was really unexpected. It seemed that he had underestimated Qin Xing. From the moment he entered the door, Yang Yi had been observing the members of the Qin family. Apart from Qin Xing, Qin Ran was the one who had the most interactions. Qin Ran was also quite famous in Siju City. She could be considered as a socialite in Siju City. What he was more curious about was that Qin Ran was still unmarried. It was said that she had almost gotten together with Song Husheng. If they had really gotten together at that time, perhaps the Qin family would not be in such a situation today. It was a pity that Qin Ran and Song Husheng's characters were not compatible. They could not get along with each other at all. They even argued in public several times. Later, this matter was left unsettled. Perhaps the two families also knew that they were not suitable for each other, so they did not continue to play matchmaker. It did not occur to him that Qin Xing and Song Ruyu would be together today. Yang Yi somewhat envied Qin Xing. If he had been able to marry Song Ruyu at that time, it would definitely have been a great help to the Yang family. Song Ruyu had a lot of hidden resources behind her, which would definitely have saved him at least 10 years of hard work. Perhaps he would also have gone into an official career, because that would have maximized his benefits. It was a pity that he did not have this life, so he could only envy, jealousy, and hate Qin Xing. While Yang Yi was distracted, Yang Tong gradually got to the point. He said with a smile, "Sister Zhao, didn't the Qin family want to get the shares of the Yang family in Chang'an before?" After careful consideration, we felt that if the Qin family really wanted it, we could become the beauty of the Qin family, and our Yang family could also get a certain financial return. I wonder if the Qin family is still interested in it now? After Yang Tong finished speaking, Zhao Anji looked at Qin Xing with a faint smile. As expected, he had come to ask about this. It seemed that the marriage between the Qin family and the Song family had shocked the Yang family so much that it directly changed the Yang family's decision. Unfortunately, the Qin family might not need it now. Consequently, Zhao Anji intended to politely refuse. Chapter 937. There was a word called stretching. When the situation was complicated and unclear, the more they stretched, the more they could maximize their benefit. The Qin family had been stretching, from the initial disadvantage to the current advantage, so they had a new turning point. If the Qin family hadn't held on and had surrendered long ago, perhaps the Qin family would be in even more trouble now, because you never knew what cards the opponent had hidden behind them. In the face of absolute benefits, most good intentions hid conspiracies. Now, the Qin family had to continue to stretch, because they had just gained an advantage. Although the Yang family had taken the initiative to visit and compromise, and sent such a big gift, the Qin family would not accept it. Although they also knew the Yang family's purpose, since the Yang family had already submitted their sincerity, how could the other families not do the same? Therefore, the Qin family had to continue to wait for the other families to make corresponding responses, and then they would deal with it according to the situation. The Qin family would choose the one who was more sincere, because the Qin family had the initiative. The Qin family did want the Yang family's shares, but it was not now. The Qin family had to wait, so Zhao Anji smiled and said, "Yang Tong, you also know that the Qin family is in a difficult situation now. We really need the shares in your hands, but the Qin family can't take out so much money in a short time. We have to discuss this. Besides, if you sell the shares to us, aren't you afraid of offending sixth uncle?" Since the two sides were already sitting here, Zhao Anji did not need to be afraid of anything, so she spoke more straightforwardly. Yang Tong said happily, "Sister Zhao, the Yang family and the Qin family used to be very close, and the relationship between the two families is quite deep. Now that the Qin family is in such a difficult situation, the Yang family must help. As for sixth uncle, we don't have much contact with him. Besides, this is the Yang family's business. Why should we care about what others think? Although the Yang family is not the Yang family in the past, the Yang family does not need to do things according to others' feelings. If they really bully the Yang family, we may not be afraid. What Yang Tong said was right, but he would never mention that the Yang family changed their position today because of the marriage between the Qin family and the Song family. As for the friendship between the Qin family and the Yang family, there was indeed some friendship in the past, or the Yang family would not exist in the Chang'an system. However, the Yang family used to be closer to sixth uncle. After all, they were descendants of revolutionary achievement. Yang Yi said timely, Aunt Zhao, we all know the internal affairs of the Chang'an system. It was established by Master Qin. The Yang family has benefited a lot these years, and it is time to return. As long as we get the shares, the Qin family can firmly control the Chang'an system. With the Chang'an family would never have a crisis again, and the Qin family would have a Chang system. Qin Sheng looked at Yang Yi and said, if the Qin family really wants to split the shares from the Yang family, how will the Yang family bid? Don't worry, Qin family. The Yang family will definitely give a friendly price that both parties can accept, Yang Yi said with fervor and assurance. He was qualified to talk business with Qin Sheng. Qin Yang Qin Yu Qin T. E family Yang T. 2 Yang family, Yang family more. 1. He was qualified to talk about business with Qin Sheng. This is a bit vague. We still want to be specific so that we can raise funds. Otherwise, we will be delayed. The Yang family was afraid that the Qin family would not offer a price. As long as the Qin family was willing to offer a price, the Yang family would certainly show their sincerity. Yang Yi looked at his first uncle and confirmed his meaning. Then he replied, this price is absolutely satisfactory. It is lower than the lowest price we agreed before. There is room for negotiation. What do you think? Not to mention Qin Sheng, even Zhao Anji was a little surprised after hearing this. She did not expect that the Yang family really came with sincerity. This price was beyond their expectations, and there was still room for reduction. It could be seen that the Yang family was determined to stand on the side of the Qin family this time. Zhao Anji did not give a clear answer. She just said, well, the Yang family is really sincere. But we have to discuss it again and see if we can raise the funds. After all, it is not a small amount. Yang Tong said calmly, it is different now. The Qin family needs money, and I think it is easy to find it. Everyone could roughly understand what he meant. Zhao Anji laughed and said, who knows? Since they had finished talking, it was time for the uncle and nephew of the Yang family to leave. Before leaving, Yang Tong gave the Qin family another big gift. He said slowly, Sister Zhao, I know that the Qin family has no right to speak in Chang'an now, so I propose to immediately hold a shareholders' meeting to elect new members of the board of directors. Before our two families reach an agreement, the Yang family will stand on the side of the Qin family without hesitation. What do you think? Hearing this news, Zhao Anji was somewhat moved. She restrained her inner joy and said, well, in this case, I really appreciate the Yang family. For the future of Chang'an, we should go forward hand in hand. Yang Tong laughed and said, Sister Zhao, lunch has been over for a long time. We will not disturb your lunch. Let's contact each other later. Let's get together in the future. Okay, I will walk you out, Zhao Anji said politely. When they came down from the second floor, the others in the living room felt that the atmosphere was very harmonious because both sides were full of smiles. They continued to chat while walking. It seemed that they had a good chat today. When Yang Yi went out, he said to Qin Sheng, Congratulations. Qin Sheng was stunned for a while before he understood what he meant. He smiled and said, Thank you. Let's have a drink some other day. Yang Yi took the initiative to say. Qin Xing replied, sure. After seeing off the uncle and nephew of the Yang family, Zhao Anji and Qin Xing slowly walked back to the villa. Zhao Anji said to Qin Xing seriously, Xing this is the reality of Siju City. Strength is respected, and interests come first. Do you understand? Qin Xing did not say anything. Of course, he knew what Auntie meant. For the Qin family, the benefits brought by the marriage between him and Song Ruyu were absolutely beyond imagination. On the way back, Yang Tong and Yang Yi continued to talk about today's meeting. Yang Yi was somewhat confused and said, Uncle, we have shown enough sincerity. It seems that the Qin family is not in a hurry. They are just pretending. Do you know why? Yang Tong replied with a question. Yang Yi was puzzled and asked, why? That's because besides us, other families must be anxious. How can the Qin family not know? Therefore, they have to wait for other families to see whose sincerity is greater. However, the sincerity of our Yang family is definitely not comparable to that of others. Yang Tong was very confident. He was a person who would not hesitate once he made up his mind. Therefore, he would not bargain with the Qin family for the sake of a little bit of interest. He directly offered a price that the Qin family could not refuse. The Qin family was not a stingy family. They naturally understood the sincerity of the Yang family. After Yang Yi understood, he replied, It seems that we can only continue to wait. Wait, don't be anxious. As long as we can get out of this unscathed, it's okay. Therefore, even if the Qin family tries to bargain, we can also bargain. I'm afraid that the Qin family will be ambiguous and our Yang family will be out of this quagmire. Yang Tong said meaningfully, because even he could not understand many things. In order to avoid the unknown crisis, the best solution was to stay away from this mess. Who knew whether the fight between masters would bring disaster to the fish pond in the end? In the West Mountain villa of the Qin family, after Zhao Anji and Qin Ran returned to the living room, Qin Ran could not wait to ask how it was. Qin Xing repeated what had happened. Qin Ran was very surprised after hearing it. She was not surprised that the Yang family came back, but she did not expect the Yang family to be so sincere. This was something that no one had expected. Auntie, what should we do? Qin Ran followed and asked. Zhao Anji looked at Qin Xing and said, Xing what do you think? Qin Xing said firmly, We must be prepared for both sides. The Yang family must be respected. Then we will wait for the reaction of other families before making a decision. Secondly, let Aunt Chong and Uncle Hao prepare to take over the Chong and system again. This time, we can't give the sixth uncle any chance. This was a rare opportunity for the Qin family, and they must seize it. Therefore, Qin Ran immediately contacted Chong Sini and Hao Mingyi, asking them to go to the West Mountain Villa as soon as possible. During this period, Hao Mingyi and Chong Sini were in charge of the legal team. After all, they were more professional. Although they had not resigned from the Chong and system completely, they had long been removed from the management. When they received Qin Ran's call, they did not know that Qin Xing and Song Ruyu were going to be engaged. Therefore, when Qin Ran told them to hurry over and tell them that the Qin family planned to take over the Chong and system again, they were shocked. But when Qin Ran explained the reason, they immediately understood. So that was the reason. Chong Sini and Hao Mingyi did not feel emotional, because it was not something they should worry about. What they needed to worry about was to be responsible for what the Qin family told them to do. At least to take over the Chong and system again was what they had been dreaming of. After all, they had been in the Chong and system for many years. They were the trusted senior members who had followed Qin Chang'an to conquer the country. Of course, they would not be willing to give up the Chong and system so easily. Therefore, they immediately put down what they were doing and came over. After that, the members of the Qin family went to have lunch. Before they knew it, it was already past 1 o'clock. They were all starving. Even the food was cold, and the kitchen had just heated it up. However, as soon as they entered the restaurant, the bodyguard outside ran in and told them that someone was visiting the Qin family. The members of the Qin family could not help frowning. After Zhao Anji asked them who it was, they heard a familiar name. It turned out that it was the Li family, one of the major shareholders of the Chang'an system. It was understandable that the Yang family would visit the Qin family. After all, the two families had talked about it before. However, the Li family suddenly came without an invitation, which was somewhat unreasonable. The Li family had always been on Sixth Uncle's side and was his absolute ally. Why did they suddenly come to the Qin family? Everyone was confused. Was it a weasel paying a New Year's greeting to a chicken or some other reason? No one knew. Since they were already here, there was no reason to avoid them. Qin Sheng nodded and motioned for them to come in. As a result, the lunch of the Qin family continued to be postponed. Zhao Anji led Qin Sheng and Qin ran to wait quietly for the distinguished guests of the Li family. Chapter 938. In fact, it had only been 4 or 5 hours since the Qin clan announced this news to the public. Two clans that had direct contact with the Qin clan had already come to visit them. First, it was the Yang clan, then the Li clan. This was really unexpected for the Qin clan. The Qin clan thought that they would definitely have some reaction, but they didn't expect it to be so fast. Perhaps even the Qin clan didn't think about what this news meant. The Qin family could understand the Yang family's visit. They had a good relationship. If Qin Chang'an hadn't been arrested, the cooperation between the Qin family and the Yang family would have been reached. Now that the Qin family situation had changed, it was understandable that the Yang family wanted to continue their relationship. However, the Qin family didn't understand the Li family's uninvited visit. So the Qin family really wanted to know what the Li family was planning. Zhao Anji did not wait for long before the distinguished guest of the Li family entered the villa. With a smile on her face, Zhao Anji walked up quickly to welcome him and said, "Oh, Lao Li, what a rare guest! What brings you here?" Qin Sheng's eyes lit up. The man called Old Li by Zhao Anji was called Li Fangyi. He was the current leader of the Li family. He was now the deputy director of a committee of the CPPCC. Although he had retired, he was in a department with real power. His power was not to be underestimated. In addition, the Li family's power was not small. The shareholding structure of the Chang'an family was very complicated. None of these big families directly held shares. They all had a complicated relationship. In addition, the Chang'an family was not a listed company and didn't need to disclose a lot of things. So it was difficult to find out who was behind the scenes. However, the people in charge naturally knew who the shareholders of the Chang'an family were. No one needed to hide, because in the past, who came in and who went out was decided unanimously, unlike now, which had already broken down. So the Li family, who had always been low-key, didn't show up easily. Until they realized the crisis, they directly took action. Hence, today, the Li clan didn't send anyone else over. Instead, it was the leader of the Li clan who directly came to talk to the Qin clan. If they could come to an agreement, then they would come to an agreement. If they couldn't, then they wouldn't cause a commotion. If they showed the Qin clan the greatest sincerity, then they would naturally get what they wanted. If they still put on airs, then they would definitely be the ones to suffer in the end. Li Fangyi was in charge of the Li family's affairs in Chang'an, and he was in charge of everything in the Li family. Therefore, Li Fangyi couldn't escape the blame for what had happened today. That was why he wanted to make up for it. "Sister Zhao, long time no see. How have you been?" Li Fangyi replied politely. He was dressed more casually and looked like a retired old man. There was nothing special about him. Perhaps this was the characteristic of Siju City. Zhao Anji chuckled and said, "You should be saying how have I been?" Li Fangyi smiled awkwardly and subconsciously looked at Qin Xing and Qin Ran. They were Qin Chang'an's son and daughter. He was familiar with Qin Ran because he often came to the Qin family to drink. At that time, he wanted Qin Chang'an to marry Qin Ran into the Li family. However, Qin Ran didn't like his son and nephew. After the two families fell out, they basically didn't see each other anymore. As for Qin Xing, Li Fangyi had only met him twice. They were the two board meetings of the Chang'an family. Li Fangyi went directly to the two board meetings of the Chang'an family and didn't let his agent attend. Li Fangyi knew that Qin Xing was not easy to deal with, especially now that he had become the most famous young man in Siju City, because he married the daughter of the Song family. "Uncle Li," Qin Ran and Qin Xing said at the same time. Li Fangyi took the initiative to ease the atmosphere. "Now that Dad is in trouble, we, as friends, should help you more. However, there were a lot of things at home recently. Please don't blame Uncle Li. If you need anything in the future, just call Uncle Li directly. After all, your dad and I have been friends for decades." "Thank you, Uncle Li." Since Li Fangyi could say such shameless words, Qin Xing and Qin Ran could not directly say that after their father's accident, it was their friends who hit them when they were down. However, they still smiled and replied, "Thank you, Uncle Li." They had exchanged greetings and talked about the old days. Zhao Anji asked directly, "Lao Li, I don't know what you, a busy man, have come to our Qin family today. If you haven't eaten, we don't mind adding a pair of chopsticks." Li Fangyi didn't stand on ceremony and said, "Sister Zhao, can I have a word with you? I have some words from the bottom of my heart to tell you." Li Fangyi was really shameless today. In front of sixth uncle and others, he had never said such words. Today, in front of these juniors, he didn't feel it was a big deal at all. Zhao Anji had to give him a thumbs up. "Then let's talk upstairs." Zhao Anji smiled and stretched out her hand. In the lounge upstairs, the Yang family's uncle and nephew had just taken away their teacup. Even the sofa was still warm. Now, the big boss of the Li family was sitting there. These big shots were really interesting. Qin Xing didn't know whether to laugh or cry. It could only be said that in the face of reality and interests, they could change their minds at any time. After the Qin family's servant left, Li Fangyi held the teacup and carefully tasted it. Not bad. The authentic Da Hong Pao from Wui Mountain. I knew there was good tea in Chang'an, but I don't know when I can drink it next time. I don't know what kind of good wine Uncle Li likes. I'll go to the old man's wine cellar later, Qin Xing replied with a smile. It was still him and his aunt, Zhao Anji, who appeared. Qin Ran and the others waited downstairs. Li Fangyi said politely, "A gentleman doesn't take what others like. I'd better drink my erguotu. It won't go to my head after drinking it. Ha ha ha." "Everyone has their own preferences," Qin Xing said calmly. Zhao Anji was not so polite this time, because she didn't know why Li Fangyi came. After all, Li Fangyi had always stood on the opposite side of the Qin family. He was the sixth uncle's loyal ally. Why did he suddenly come uninvited? "Fangyi, now can you tell me why you came? Are you spying for sixth brother?" Zhao Anji snorted. Hearing this, Li Fangyi hurriedly explained, "Sister Zhao, you misunderstood me. How could I ask for information for him? I came here today just to have a good talk with you and clear up the previous misunderstandings. There are some misunderstandings between our families." After hearing this, Zhao Anji and Qin Xing seemed to be a little confused and felt that something was wrong. "Really? Why is it impossible? You used to support sixth brother all the time. Our Qin family can't be what it is today because of you." Zhao Anji sneered. It had to be said that when Zhao Anji said these harsh words, she was really good at it. She absolutely did not give any face to anyone. Li Fangyi said helplessly, "Sister Zhao, I know you have some misunderstandings about me. I guessed it before coming here today. If you want to say that I have always supported Chang'an, I have always supported Chang'an. It's just that some things happened some time ago that made me be deceived. That's why there are these misunderstandings. Oh, you were deceived by someone? Who? Zhao Anji asked without hesitation. Li Fangyi replied without any taboo. Who else could it be? Our sixth brother. He is really a wolf with wild ambitions. No wonder he offended so many people in the past. What he said was very straightforward. He even dug out sixth uncle's background. It could be seen how sincere Li Fangyi was to reconcile with the Qin family today. Zhao Anji looked at Li Fangyi and said nothing. Of course, she would not believe him directly. Who knew what his purpose was? Sister Zhao, even if I say these things, it's hard for you to believe it. But this is the truth. I will never lie to you. If I still support sixth brother, I won't come to you. If sixth brother knows this, he will hate me to death. But I have to draw a clear line with him now, or I'll be in cahoots with him. My purpose today is very simple, that is, in the future, the Li family will only support the Qin family unconditionally in the Chang'an group. You see what they've done to the Chang'an group without Chang'an, so I propose to hold a board meeting or a shareholders meeting immediately and let the Qin family regain control of the Chang'an group. Li Fangyi didn't talk too much. This time, he directly cut the Gordian knot with a knife. Anyway, the Qin family wouldn't believe him for a while, so he could only make the Qin family believe him with practical actions. Zhao Anji was a little shocked. Did the Li family really break up with sixth uncle, so they directly reconciled with the Qin family? It was possible, but she dared not believe it easily. Uncle Li, how can we believe what you said? To put it bluntly, sixth uncle wants to kill the Qin family. Otherwise, he will not stop. You used to support sixth uncle. Don't you think that you are here for sixth uncle's conspiracy? Qin Xing saw that the aunt did not say anything, so he directly laid out his cards to Li Fangyi. Li Fangyi laughed and said, Qin Xing, I am not that kind of person. If I really want to fight with the Qin family, I prefer to be straightforward. Both sides compete with strength and ability. This kind of small trick is useless. Even if I come, what can I do? Uncle Li is right, but we can't be careless, Qin Xing replied with a smile. Li Fangyi said bluntly, then let's make it simpler. I will support the Qin family with practical actions. If the Qin family needs money, I will provide it. If the Qin family needs people, I will provide people. As long as the Qin family is still in Chang'an, the Li family will support the Qin family. The votes in the board meeting and the shareholders meeting will not be fake, right? Uncle Li, if that's the case, I kind of believe it, Qin Xing said thoughtfully. Zhao Anji followed Qin Xing's words and said, Fangyi, since you said so, it is useless for us to talk too much. The Qin family will remember what happened in the past. Whether it is a misunderstanding or not, it happened. But I don't know what will happen in the future. Let's meet directly at the board meeting or the shareholders meeting. What do you think? Li Fangyi heard this and said, Sister Zhao, you are so straightforward. See you then. Okay, we will ask to hold the board meeting or the shareholders meeting soon. You will receive the notice. See you then, Zhao Anji said affirmatively. After hearing this, Li Fangyi stood up and said goodbye happily. Sister Zhao, let's meet again when we are free. I will not disturb you. Therefore, Li Fangyi left the Qin family directly. He came and left in a hurry, because he had achieved his goal. They were all big families who had been in Siju City for many years. It was useless to say too much. The truth could be seen when things really happened. After seeing Li Fangyi off, Zhao Anji and Qin Xing were still skeptical. Zhao Anji asked Qin Xing subconsciously, Xing do you think it is credible? Qin Xing smiled and said, Auntie, do I need to believe it? Because even if the Li family was gone, there was still the Yang family. Chapter 939. How could this happen? After Li Fangyi left, the Qin family could finally have lunch. The kitchen had heated up the dishes 3 times and was ready to cook again. However, Qin Ran said that it was fine and they could just eat it like this. After lunch, it was already past 3 o'clock in the afternoon. No one came to the Qin family uninvited anymore. The Qin family quieted down for a while. At this time, Chang Sini and Hao Mingyi arrived. They were talking about what had happened in the living room. They already knew why Li Fangyi was here. No matter whether what he said was true or not, they would know it when the board of directors or the shareholders' meeting was held. Chang Sini and Hao Mingyi didn't expect that things would change so much. However, it was good news for the Qin family and the Chang An family. They didn't expect that a political marriage could be so powerful. They had been looking forward to taking control of the Chang An family again. When Master Qin's case was over, the Chang An family would run wild again. Aunt Chang, Uncle Hao, how's the preparation of the lawyers? Qin Ran was very concerned about it. No matter what happened in Chang'an, the old man was more important than anything else. They left it to Chang Sini and Hao Mingyi, who knew more about it than anyone else in the Qin family. That way, they wouldn't be distracted. Chang Sini reported honestly, "It's almost ready. Now we just need to wait for the news from the investigation team. Our legal team is strong enough, and we also have some foreign lawyers as our consultant. No matter what the final result is, we will do our best." The Qin family was a little relieved after hearing that. This time, the Qin family spent a lot of money to build this legal team, which was made up of top lawyers both at home and abroad. As long as it was within the framework of the law, they would try their best to reduce old Qin's punishment. However, the environment in China was not as good as that in foreign countries, so it would depend on how much information the investigation team had. However, the joint investigation team was still in the middle of the investigation, and it was difficult for the legal team to meet Qin Chang'an. They could only do their best after the formal procedure. Now they could only do the preliminary preparation. Aunt Chang, we told you the specific situation just now. When you go back, we will hold a board of directors meeting. If the Li family is really on our side, we don't need to hold a shareholders meeting for the time being. If the Li family breaks their promise, we will directly hold a shareholders meeting to re-elect the board of directors. This time, we can't give sixth uncle any chance. Chang Sini said confidently, "Okay, we will start to prepare after we go back." After talking about these business matters, Qin Ran, who was in a good mood, asked Ma Weiyang to go shopping. Zhao Anji also had a dinner party in the evening. She heard that it was organized by old Zhao's family. She guessed that Zhao Anji was also there to inquire about information or to curry favor with Zhao Anji. Before Zhao Anji left, she told Qin Xing to invite Song Ryu to the Qin family for dinner tomorrow night. Since the engagement date had been set, it was time to meet Song Ryu. Qin Xing didn't agree directly. He just asked Song Ryu if she had time. As for Qin Xing, Xue Qinyan had already arrived in Beijing. Qin Xing still did not know how to face her, but he could not run away. What would come eventually. In the evening, in a restaurant next to the Forbidden City, Qin Xing had already booked a private room. He could see the night view of the Forbidden City through the window. He arrived early and waited for Xue Qinyan. Xue Qinyan was already on her way. Qin Xing felt a little uneasy. His relationship with Xue Qinyan was already complicated. Now that such a thing had happened, he really did not know what to do. How to explain it? There were many people who came to this city and wanted to take root and not leave. There were also many people who left with hatred in the end. Many people loved this place, but there were also many people who hated this place. How many big clans could take root in this city for many years? How many clans could rise and fall in this city without collapsing? Who knew how many people had paid an immeasurable price for this? Some were disappointed, some were regretful, and naturally there were also people who were proud and satisfied. Qin Sheng was the only one in the room. He looked at the forbidden city outside the window and was lost in thought. Qin Sheng did not want to come to this city, nor did he want to stay in this city. However, he was a descendant of the Qin family. These things were not up to him at all. However, he did not expect that as a descendant of the Qin family, he would have to pay the price in the end. Perhaps no one would be spared. He did not know how long he had waited. When the waiter knocked on the door, Qin Sheng came back to his senses. He wanted to live in Beijing and Shanghai. In Beijing, there seemed to be endless pressure. In Shanghai, he could be a little more relaxed and casual. This was a tale of two cities that belonged to him. However, the life he liked the most was still the time in Xiamen. That was the memory that belonged to him and Lin Su. It was also the most satisfying life in this life. However, now it seemed that it had become a masterpiece. He was afraid that it would not happen again in this lifetime. When the waiter pushed open the door of the private room, Xue Qinyan, who was behind him, walked in slowly. Dressed in a long black dress, she was cold and beautiful. She was like a black rose that bloomed in the cold winter. Unfortunately, there was no expression on her face today. It seemed that she was trying her best to control her emotions. This made Qin Sheng even more nervous. He was not afraid of being taught a lesson by Xue Qinyan. Even if she hit him or scolded him, he would accept it. He was afraid of losing this friend. Qin Sheng had already stood up and walked over. He smiled apologetically and said, "Sister, you are here." Xue Qinyan ignored Qin Sheng. She walked straight in and sat on the seat where Qin Sheng was just now. She put down her bag casually and stared at Qin Sheng with her big eyes. However, this time, there was no love in her eyes, only endless resentment and anger. "Qin Sheng, you're not the only one." Qin Sheng was a little embarrassed. He smiled bitterly and walked over. He took the initiative to pour a glass of water for Xue Qinyan. He said, "Sister, did I let you down? Let me down?" Xue Qinyan heard this and could not help but sneer. "No, no, no. You did not let me down. Maybe this is your nature. Moreover, what relationship do we have? What can I do to you if I am disappointed or not?" For anyone, the biggest hurt often came from the people closest to them. Xue Qinyan's words did hurt Qin Sheng a little. However, what could he do? He could only bear it silently. Today, even if he had to be a grandson, he had to bear it, unless he did not want Xue Qinyan as a friend. After Qin Sheng put down the glass, he did not sit down. Instead, he stood by the window and said with a long sigh, "Sister, don't say that." Xue Qinyan said without turning her head, "Isn't it? You did not let me down. You should have let everyone down. The most disappointed one should be Lin Su. How much did she sacrifice for you? How much did she sacrifice for you? What did she get in the end? She was abandoned by you just like that? Qin Sheng, I just want to ask you, what is Lin Su in your heart? If you were Lin Su, would you be disappointed? Would you feel sad? Do you know what you mean to her? You are her whole world. Without you, her world has already collapsed." Originally, the waiter wanted to come in to order. However, after hearing the quarrel inside, he was scared and did not dare to go in. He only dared to wait outside obediently, in case he touched his eyebrows and was refused. He was reprimanded. Qin Sheng did not know what to say. He could only bite the bullet and said, "Sister, I will repay what I owe to Lin Su slowly. I have let her down in this life." "Repay? What do you have to repay? Does she need you to repay? I never thought that you would be so selfish." Xue Qinyan continued to vent. Every word she said tonight put pressure on Qin Sheng. In front of her, Qin Sheng retreated step by step. Qin Sheng laughed at himself and said, "Sister, family, lover, if it were you, what would you choose? How can you not be selfish? I also want to know the answer. Please tell me." Hearing this, Xue Qinyan instantly fell into silence, because she did not know how to answer. When she heard that Qin Sheng was going to be engaged to Song Ruyu, she did not look into the reason behind it at all. Directly, she was blinded by excitement and only wanted to seek justice for Lin Su. At that time, she thought that this woman might be able to help Qin Sheng, so Qin Sheng abandoned Lin Su and chose Song Ryu. Now, it did not seem to be the case. Grandma said that only if I choose Song Ryu, the Qin family's predicament will be solved, and the old man's ending will be better. Although he has not cared about me these years, after all, he is my father. Secondly, there are also my aunt, my sister, and Yaya. As long as I sacrifice my marriage, they will not be so tired. Maybe it is enough to change their lives, because I am the only man in the Qin family. Because only if I choose Song Ryu, the Zhu family and the Song family will help me. But what if I refuse? It is impossible for the Song family to get involved in the Qin family's affairs, and the Zhu family will also stay away, because for the Zhu family, the price to pay is too high. But for the Qin family? Sister, what should I do? What should I choose? Qin Sheng continued to say, but at the end, his voice sounded a little helpless. He knew that by doing this, many people would be disappointed, but how could he explain? In the end, he just let everyone misunderstand him. He did not care anymore. After all, this was his choice, and he had to bear the price. How could he let everything go his way? Xue Qinyan had already calmed down. After hearing these words, she had a headache. She did not have the strength to scold Qin Sheng. She knew that Qin Sheng could not be that kind of person, but she could not accept this fact. She just wanted to fight for Lin Su. Xue Qinyan muttered to herself, "You sacrificed yourself, and also sacrificed Lin Su." She really did not expect that Qin Sheng and Lin Su would have such a day. Although she liked Qin Sheng and wanted to be with him, she did not want to monopolize him. She just wanted Qin Sheng to give her a little love, because Qin Sheng belonged to Lin Su, and because Lin Su had done too many things for Qin Sheng. She was the woman Qin Sheng loved most. But now, from now on, they would be like strangers. Qin Sheng was not defending himself. He did not want to defend anything, because the truth was the truth. But he would not give up Lin Su because he had a change of heart. So he let out a long sigh and said, "Sister, I have no choice, do you understand?" Xue Qinyan had never thought that one day she would worry about others' affairs. Maybe it was because this was Qin Sheng and Lin Su, she really did not want to see Qin Sheng and Lin Su separated, and she did not want them to feel regret. So finally, she could not help but say, But she is already pregnant with your child." After hearing this, Qin Sheng's mind went blank. He was stunned as if he had been struck by lightning. He did not come to his senses for a long time. Why did this happen? Chapter 940. I got it. Why did this happen? Qin Sheng did not expect that there would be such an accident. Why didn't he know? Why didn't he know until now? Why didn't he know earlier? Lin Su was pregnant. Lin Su was pregnant with his child, but he abandoned her just like that. What had he done? Was this what he should do? Why didn't Lin Su tell him? Why? Qin Sheng finally understood why Xue Qinyan would say that. It was because Xue Qinyan knew more than him, because Xue Qinyan knew what kind of pain Lin Su was suffering, because Xue Qinyan knew how pitiful and wronged Lin Su was. Therefore, she would fight for Lin Su. When Qin Sheng came back to his senses, he had a splitting headache. Subconsciously, he sat down and held his head with both hands on the table. At this moment, Qin Sheng was extremely agitated. His eyes were lifeless and his state of mind was in a complete mess. He did not know how to face this matter. At this moment, he realized how much he owed Lin Su. He might not be able to repay her for the rest of his life. What should he do next? Qin Sheng did not know how to face it, but he had to face it. Because running away was not the solution. No matter how painful it was, he had to solve it. Why didn't you tell me earlier? Qin Sheng asked numbly. Xue Qingyan saw Qin Sheng's reaction. She did not know if what she did was right or wrong, but she was sure that Qin Sheng really did not know. If Qin Sheng knew and still broke up with Lin Su, Xue Qingyan's circle of friends would probably not have Qin Sheng anymore. Xue Qingyan was a little worried. Lin Su did not let me tell you. I thought you already knew. When did it happen? Qin Sheng murmured. Xue Qingyan answered honestly, more than half a month ago. I accompanied Lin Su to the hospital. It should be 2 months now. Why didn't she tell me? Qin Sheng questioned. Xue Qingyan thought for a moment and said, because she knew that you were under too much pressure because of the Qin family. She did not want to put more pressure on you. Maybe she wanted to tell you after the Qin family's matter was over. Or maybe she wanted to give you a surprise. So she did not tell you. But she did not expect this result. She did not have a chance to tell you. Qin Sheng said with red eyes, I'm sorry. This apology was naturally meant for Lin Su. Did you guys break up? Xue Qingyan didn't know about this until she heard the news. Thinking about Lin Su's recent behavior, she guessed that they might have broken up. Qin Sheng did not deny it. He nodded and said, yes, I went back to Shanghai and mentioned it to her face to face. She did not say anything. You know she is very competitive, so she will not say anything. If my friend in Beijing hadn't told me that you and Song Ruyu from the Song family were getting engaged, I probably wouldn't have guessed that you had broken up. I told her that she was in a very bad state when I saw her recently. I thought it was because she was too busy with work or because she was pregnant. I didn't expect it to be because of this. She never told me about it. She just endured it silently. Qin Sheng, can you bear to see her like this? Xue Qingyan knew that Qin Sheng was in pain at the moment, but who knew how much pain Lin Su was in? Qin Sheng straightened up and asked in a trembling voice, Sister, is she all right? What do you think? If you really want to know, you can go and see for yourself. Xue Qingyan did not want to take any responsibility. Lin Su needed Qin Sheng the most, not her. Qin Sheng shook his head quickly and said, no, I can't see her anymore. I can't disturb her life anymore. What about her? What about the child? That is your child. Xue Qingyan was a little angry. She didn't expect Qin Sheng to be so heartless. Was this still the Qin Sheng she knew? She thought that after Qin Sheng knew about this, he would take it back for the sake of the child. But Qin Sheng was so determined. At this point, there was no turning back. No one would benefit. If Qin Sheng suddenly broke off the engagement at this time, he would completely offend the Song family. At the same time, he would also disappoint the Zhu family and the Qin family. He would be completely alone and put Lin Su and the Lin family in danger. Moreover, Lin Su was pregnant with their child. Only by continuing to move forward could he protect Lin Su and their child. The premise was that Lin Su wanted to keep this child. Sister, go back and tell Lin Su that if she wants to give birth to this child, I don't mind. But she must not give birth in China. At least at present, I don't have the ability to protect them. When I have the right to speak, I will definitely take her and this child home. If she doesn't want this child, I won't have any complaints. Lin Su doesn't owe me anything, and I have no right to ask her for anything. She has the right to choose. Qin Sheng said firmly. This was the safest way at present, and also the best way that Qin Sheng could think of. However, when he thought that his first child would be gone just like that, Qin Sheng still felt a little heartache. He had never thought that there would be such an accident. After all, that was his flesh and blood. After hearing Qin Sheng's words, Xue Qingyan comforted him a little. Well, even if Lin Su goes abroad to give birth, what if you don't recognize her at that time? Then what you've ruined is her life. Impossible, because she is Lin Su, because she is my child. Qin Sheng directly shook his head and replied. Xue Qingyan sneered. Why not? At that time, you will have married Song Ruyu and you will have your own family. Will you destroy everything for Lin Su? That is what I owe Lin Su. Not to mention destroying everything, even if I offend everyone, I will not hesitate, Qin Shing said fearlessly. Today, he did it for the Qin family. At that time, when everything was good for the Qin family, he should pay back the debt he owed to Lin Su. Xue Qinyan said thoughtfully, Well, I believe you. But Lin Su may not believe you. What if she doesn't want this child? That is her freedom. I have no right to interfere. I can only pay her back slowly. Qin Shing let out a long sigh. He did not know what Lin Su would choose. He could only leave it to fate. Xue Qinyan thought for a moment and asked again, Then can you think about it for Lin Su and this child? Sister, if I regret at this time, Lin Su and the child will be in more danger. Even if it is not for myself, I have to do this for Lin Su. You should understand. Qin Shing stared at Xue Qinyan and said. Xue Qinyan seemed to understand the truth. At this time, even if Qin Shing chose Lin Su, everyone would hate Lin Su. Even if Qin Shing married Lin Su, he might not be happy. This was the truth. Thinking of this, Xue Qinyan had a headache. She did not expect things to be like this. Sister, help me take care of Lin Su. I hope nothing will happen to her. When she makes a choice, tell me, Qin Shing said with a pleading attitude. Xue Qinyan was in the middle and felt very uncomfortable. But it was Qin Shing. She could not do anything. No matter how angry she was, she would consider for Qin Shing. She had to nod and said, Don't worry, I will. Thank you, sister. Qin Shing comforted her. Xue Qinyan had to sigh and said, Alas, maybe this is your fate. I hope your ending will be good. Qin Shing seemed to think of something and said in a hurry, Sister, there is one more thing. Don't let anyone know this news. You must keep it secret. Otherwise, Lin Su will be in danger. Don't worry, I know. Xue Qinyan understood what Qin Shing meant. Not to mention that this matter involved many aspects. Secondly, Qin Shing had offended so many people before. Someone might take the risk out of desperation. If that happened, Lin Su would be in a bad situation. After talking about these things, Qin Shing and Xue Qinyan finally let go of the estrangement between them. At this time, they began to order dishes. During the meal, Xue Qinyan casually asked about the current situation of the Qin family. Qin Shing did not hide anything. He told her about some of the latest developments, including the fact that other major shareholders of Chang, a group would choose the Qin family after knowing this news. Xue Qinyan did not expect this news to be so powerful. This was just the beginning. No wonder everyone was pushing for this matter. No wonder Qin Shing finally made such a choice. He had no choice. After dinner, Qin Shing wanted to send Xue Qinyan to the hotel, but Xue Qinyan wanted to meet her big boss. Qin Shing just sent her to the destination and left. The news of the Qin family and the Song family's marriage continued to ferment. More and more people already knew about it. Now it had become the most interesting topic in the circle of Siju City. Some people envied the Qin family, envied Qin Shing because he married the Song family's destined daughter. Some people envied the Qin family and Qin Shing because it seemed to bring the Qin family back to life. The Qin family had just lost power, and the dust had not settled yet, but Qin Shing had become a toad. The world was cold and people's hearts were not what they used to be. If it were 2 years ago when the Qin family was at its peak, it would probably be a match made in heaven between a talented man and a beautiful woman. At this moment, inside a red wall on Fuyo Street, Song Ruyu was sitting in front of the stairs in a daze. She was familiar with this place. When she was a child, she often came to see her grandpa. When she grew up, she often came to see her teacher. However, she seldom came these days because her teacher was getting busier and busier. Song Ruyu did not want to disturb her teacher for trivial matters. However, today, her teacher took the initiative to see her, which surprised Song Ruyu a little. She was also a little nervous because she guessed why her teacher wanted to see her. After waiting for half an hour, Song Ryu was already sleepy. Finally, she heard footsteps. When she came to her senses, she saw a familiar figure standing in front of her. Song Ryu quickly stood up and said, "Teacher. The meeting ended a little late. Why didn't you wait inside?" Song Ryu chuckled and said, "It's windy outside. It's comfortable." This teacher, who was serious most of the time, seemed to take good care of Song Ryu. It seemed that he regarded Song Ryu as his half-daughter. Song Ryu was used to the teacher's appearance. He was always dressed in a suit and looked quite serious, just like what she had seen on TV. However, in real life, her teacher was very interesting. He was not that boring. "Do you know why I want to see you? Is it your decision or your family's decision?" The man, who had already stood at the top of the pyramid, asked in a neutral tone. Only he himself knew why he did not ask her over the phone, but in person. As expected, Song Ryu did not hesitate and replied calmly, "It's my decision." "I see. Go back." Hearing this answer, the man did not ask any more questions. He waved his hand, indicating that Song Ryu could leave. Then he turned around and walked straight forward. Song Ryu was stunned for a long time before she came to her senses. Chapter 941. When Song Ryu came to her senses, her teacher had already entered the room. This seemed to be a little different from what she had imagined. Shouldn't her teacher be angry and scolding her? Or would he say that the Song family was wrong after scolding her? After all, so far, everyone thought that the Song family was absolutely crazy. They didn't know what tricks the Qin family had used to achieve such a result. Song Ryu thought for a moment and burst into laughter. This seemed to be her teacher's style. There was nothing wrong with it. If her teacher thought like ordinary people, he would not be the #1 think tank. However, she didn't know her teacher's attitude now. Did he approve of this marriage, or oppose it? However, her teacher might think that it was meaningless. After all, this was the Song family's business, as well as Song Ryu's business. She and the Song family had already agreed. What right did her teacher have to care about these things? What puzzled Song Ryu was that she had to wait here for such a long time just to ask 2 questions. The problem could be solved with a phone call. Her teacher was really a troublemaker. It felt like the thunder was loud but the rain was small. Song Ryu dared to say so even in front of her teacher. Anyway, her teacher wouldn't say anything about it. This was her privilege. Xue Qinyan returned to Shanghai the next day. She had already gotten the answer she wanted. She still had to clean up Qin Shing's mess. Xue Qinyan felt that something was wrong. Wasn't she here to scold Qin Shing? But who asked him to be Qin Shing? Now, whether for Qin Shing or Lin Su, Xue Qinyan could only try her best to handle this matter well. She didn't want them to become strangers or enemies, especially the child in Lin Su's belly. This was the most important thing. She didn't know what Lin Su would decide. Xue Qinyan could only go back to Shanghai first. At noon, Qin Shing and Qin Ran went to see the old man as promised. It had been some days since they last saw the old man. During this period, many things had happened. They didn't know whether the old man knew it or not. The most important thing was that Qin Shing had made a sacrifice for the Qin family. The procedure was almost the same as last time. When Qin Shing and Qin Ran entered the room, Qin Chang'an was already sitting there. He was still dressed in simple clothes. However, compared to last time, his complexion and mental state were much better. It seemed that the old man had adjusted his mentality well. However, his white hair was still so dazzling, which made people feel sorry for him. The last time Qin Shing saw the old man, he might not have felt much change. However, this was the first time Qin Ran saw the old man after he was taken away. It had been a few months since then. How could Qin Ran not be shocked and emotional? The moment she saw the old man, Qin Ran cried out, "Daddy," which she had not seen for a long time. Qin Chang'an, who was sitting opposite her, was also very emotional. He quickly got up and walked over to hug this silly girl and comfort her. Qin Ran had almost always grown up under his protection. She had never suffered any grievances since she was young. This time, after losing his protection, one could imagine how much pressure she had to bear. Even though Zhao Anji and Qin Xing had come back to help her, she was still under a lot of pressure. After all, no one could replace Qin Chang'an's position in Qin Ran's heart, no matter how many people there were. Although the relationship between Qin Chang'an and Qin Ran was sometimes stiff, it was because Qin Chang'an doted on Qin Ran and gave in to her. No matter how angry Qin Ran was with Qin Chang'an, it was just a small conflict between father and daughter. Qin Chang'an was Qin Ran's father and would always be her father. No one could replace this omnipotent father. Until this father finally collapsed one day. After a long time, Qin Chang'an comforted Qin Ran and said with red eyes, "Dad, you've been wronged." Qin Chang'an said calmly, "How can I be wronged? After so many years, it's time for me to suffer some hardship. This is the price I should bear. Just take it as a self-cultivation inside. It's rare to have such a leisurely life." "Dad, don't say that." Qin Ran did not believe it. She just thought that the old man was comforting her. Qin Chang'an smiled helplessly and said, Ran, the one I worry about the most is not your brother, but you. When are you going to find a partner? I didn't urge you before because I spoiled you and was afraid that you would be angry. Now I'm already inside. If I don't urge you, I'm afraid that when I come out, you still won't find a partner." "Dad, how is that possible? Let's not talk about this now. When you're done with your business, I'll definitely find a partner and get married." Qin Ran quickly comforted him. She did not want to make the old man worry. Qin Chang'an smiled and nodded. "That's good." Finally, Qin Ran calmed down. Qin Chang'an also felt slightly relieved. Daughters were always like this. They were always sad and sad. However, daughters were their father's sweet little cotton-padded jackets, and always cared about their fathers. Although Qin Ran often had conflicts with him, Qin Chang'an knew that this girl cared about him the most. "Dad, how are you recently? Don't worry about things outside. I'm here." When Qin Chang'an looked at Qin Xing reported to the old man unhurriedly. He hoped that the old man would not worry about these things and the situation of the Qin family. Qin Chang'an said disapprovingly, "Even if the Chang and school is gone, it's not a big deal. Even if the Qin family falls, it will stand up again sooner or later. I'm most worried about you. I'm sorry for letting you be wronged." Qin Xing could understand the first part, but when he heard the last part, he was a little confused. He did not know that the old man had already known about the marriage between the Qin family and the Song family. "What?" Qin Xing looked confused. Qin Chang'an said calmly, "I know about it. If you have a chance, apologize to Lin Su for me. This time, the Qin family owes her. The Qin family will pay for it in the future." At this time, Qin Xing finally understood. It turned out to be this thing. He was just wondering how the old man knew about it. "Dad, you know about it?" Qin Ran asked directly. Qin Chang'an said slowly, "Don't ask me how I know. I know what I should know. This thing should be done by the Zhu family. I heard that your grandmother also went back to Beijing. The old lady has been stubborn for so many years. I didn't expect that she would go back to Beijing for her grandchildren. It seems that she really loves you. Or maybe it's because of your mother." "Dad." Qin Ran felt wronged. Recently she had been wronged too much. It seemed that she had not suffered so much in the past 20 years. This was the reality. Qin Chang'an ignored Qin Ran. He looked at Qin Xing and continued, "Qin Xing, didn't I tell you last time? There is nothing you can't give up. Even the Chang and system or the Qin family you can give up. Sometimes you have to make a choice. But I can't control you now. It's your choice. I hope you won't regret it in the future." Qin Chang'an's words made Qin Shing a little confused. There was nothing he couldn't give up. He gave up his love for the Qin family. Was he wrong? Qin Shing did not want to. He continued to struggle on this matter and said, "Dad, the Chang and system." However, when Qin Shing just opened his mouth, Qin Chang'an directly interrupted him and said, "You don't have to tell me about this. Even if you tell me, it will be useless. Now you are the backbone of the Qin family. Everything is up to you." That's it. Qin Shing and Qin Ran were very surprised. What did the old man mean? When they came to themselves, the old man had already stood up and signaled them to go back. Qin Shing and Qin Ran left in less than half an hour, as if they had gained nothing. When they returned to the door of the hotel, Qin Ran and Qin Shing looked at each other in the car. Qin Ran could not help but ask, "Qin Shing, what does Dad mean? The Chang'an system was established by him. Doesn't he care about it at all? Or does he already know the result? Even if he doesn't care about the Chang'an system, he should care about the ending of the Qin family. The Chang'an system and the Qin family are almost one. We share weal and woe." Qin Shing muttered to himself. The old man said that the Chang'an system and the Qin family can give up anything. If he gives up the Chang'an system and the Qin family, who will help him? Qin Ran frowned and said. Qin Shing hesitated for a while and said directly, "Sister, don't you understand the old man? That is, he can also give up." Hearing this, Qin Ran was stunned. She had never thought that he would mean this. He could give up everything. Why? For them? No, I won't do that. We've already come this far. Why should we give up? Why should we give up? He shouldn't think about shouldering everything. As long as we're still here, it's not certain that he won't get what he wants, Qin Ran said firmly. Anyway, the old man was in there now and could not control them. What they wanted to do was their own business. Qin Shing nodded silently and said, "What else can we do?" The sister and brother had reached a consensus that they would not give in. In the afternoon, Qin Shing went to pick up Song Ryu, who was about to get off work. Song Ryu had promised to go to the Qin family this afternoon. She might have hesitated for a long time. However, since Qin Shing had been to the Song family, he had to go to the Qin family. Song Ryu had told her parents about this. After all, she didn't know much about etiquette, so she left the rest to her parents. Therefore, when Song Ryu got in the car, she didn't ask Qin Shing to go to the West Mountain villa of the Qin family directly. Instead, she asked Qin Shing to take her to her parents' place first. Her parents had prepared something for them to take to the Qin family. Of course, Qin Shing understood. He didn't say anything and went home with Song Ryu. However, this time Song Ryu promised to go to the Qin family, and at the same time, Qin Shing promised to accompany her to her best friend's birthday party this weekend. Now that their relationship had been known by everyone wanted to see who on earth Qin Shing was and how he had married the goddess of the Song family. So did Song Ryu's bosom friends. Even though it did not matter whether they were satisfied with Qin Shing or not, they still wanted to see Qin Shing's true colors. After all, Qin Shing did not have much contact with the rich playboys in Siju City. Qin Shing didn't refuse, and he had no reason to refuse. When this news was announced, he knew that many things would happen. After all, he married Song Ryu. When Song Ryu took the things and went to the Qin family, Xue Qingyan had already arrived in Shanghai. Knowing that Lin Su was still working overtime, Xue Qingyan went directly to Lin Su's company. Chapter 942. Many things happened in this world every day, including joys and sorrows, joys and sorrows. They would not stop because of anyone or anything. Sometimes, God was heartless. It was like a bystander, watching everything without sadness or joy. It had been many days since they broke up, but Lin Su still had not gotten over the sadness. She suffered all the grievances and pain alone and did not want to tell anyone. She did not want others to worry or disturb Qin Sheng. She did not want others to interfere with her affairs. This was between her and Qin Sheng. There was no right or wrong if they liked each other, and she could not blame others. Because she knew that Qin Sheng still loved her deeply. He did not break up with her because he did not love her anymore. He was just too helpless and stressed. If he had other choices, she believed that Qin Sheng would not do this, because she believed that he did not choose the wrong person. Or maybe, she was just using these reasons to comfort herself, as if she could feel better, as if she would slowly become numb and let it go. However, when she thought that he was no longer in her world, and that she could not grow old with him in this life, she felt a little regretful. At this moment, tears would always fall quietly. "Boss Lin, it's time for you to get off work," Lin Su's secretary walked into the office and said worriedly. During this period, Boss Lin's condition was very bad. She looked very pale, ate very little every day, and worked overtime very late. Although they knew that she was busy with work, they were afraid that she would not be able to take it if she continued like this. Therefore, they had advised Boss Lin several times to pay attention to her health and rest well, but Boss Lin always refused to listen. They did not know what happened to Boss Lin. They knew Boss Lin's temper, but they did not dare to ask. They also did not know where Boss Lin's boyfriend was. It seemed that they had not heard any news about him recently. If he was here, maybe Boss Lin would not be like this. Lin Su put down the documents in her hands and slowly raised her head. She said a little tiredly, "You guys go first. I'll leave after I finish this." "Boss Lin, you have to take care of yourself. These things will be fine even if you are busy tomorrow." The secretary was a little worried. Lin Su did not say anything. She just waved her hand and gestured for her to go first. At this moment, there was a sudden noise outside. They heard a man shouting outside, "Where is Lin Su? Where is she? I want to see her." Before he could finish his words, the man barged into Lin Su's office and shouted at the secretary and the two beauties behind her, "What are you looking at? Get out, I have something to talk to Lin Su about." Lin Su frowned slightly, because this man was her half-brother, Lin Zhe. Wasn't he arranged to go on a business trip? Why did he suddenly come back? From the looks of it, something must have happened to him. "What's the matter?" Lin Su asked indifferently after everyone had left. Lin Zhe walked up to Lin Su angrily and said, "How long do you intend to hide such a big thing from me? What is it?" Lin Su did not understand, but she had a bad feeling. Hearing this, Lin Zhe became angrier. He shouted angrily, "What's the matter? Do you not know, or do you want to continue hiding it from me? Qin Sheng is going to marry someone else. Aren't you worried at all?" "Oh, I know. We've broken up," Lin Su said calmly. She was not surprised at all after hearing that. Hearing this answer, Lin Zhe was a little dumbfounded. He stared at Lin Su with a blank face, unable to react for a moment. What was going on? Lin Zhe returned to his senses. She shook her head helplessly and smiled bitterly. Like a deflated ball, she sat directly on the chair and muttered to herself, "My sister, what on earth happened? Did you break up with him or you? If it's him, I'll help you. I'll go to Beijing to find him now." "I broke up with him," Lin Su said without hesitation. Lin Zhe was surprised and asked, "Why?" "No reason. I just don't like him anymore. After thinking about it carefully, we are not suitable for each other. He will definitely develop his career in Beijing in the future and has no time to accompany me. I think we'd better break up first," Lin Su explained. Lin Zhe did not believe her and said, "I don't believe it. You have such a deep relationship. How could you break up with him so easily? You must be hiding something from me. Did he abandon you? I'll stand up for you. I must seek justice for you." Lin Su sneered and said, "Justice? Seek what justice? Isn't it normal for a man and a woman to break up when they fall in love? Do you want to seek justice for me? Or are you disappointed that you didn't become my brother-in-law? That's right. If you become Qin Sheng's brother-in-law, You will be on the same boat as the Qin family and the Zhu family. Aren't you very powerful in Shanghai? Hearing this, Lin Zhe was a little angry and said, Lin Su, no matter what, I'm your brother. I know there are some misunderstandings between us. I didn't treat you well in the past. But I've reflected on myself and realized my mistake. Now I'm trying to make up for it. No matter how bad I am, I won't think like that. If you are really my brother, don't care about this and don't tell anyone at home, okay? I beg you. Lin Su did not want to talk about this anymore. She also felt that what she said just now was a little hurtful. But now she just wanted to be alone and did not want to be disturbed by anyone. Lin Zhe did not know what to say. When Lin Su said this, he knew that Qin Sheng might have abandoned her. He heard that the woman Qin Sheng was going to marry was the daughter of the Song family. The Song family was very powerful in Siju City and could help the Qin family, especially now that the Qin family was in trouble. Therefore, Qin Sheng wanted to marry that woman for the Qin family. Therefore, Qin Sheng abandoned Lin Su. Just when Lin Zhe was having a headache, the door of the office was pushed open from the outside again. He saw Xue Qinyan rushing back. After she arrived in Shanghai, she went straight to Lin Su's office. When she was outside, she heard from the secretary that Lin Su and Lin Zhe had quarreled. She did not need to guess to know what was going on. That was, Lin Zhe knew about it. Xue Qinyan did not expect that the news would spread so fast. It was true that good news did not go out but bad news traveled 1,000 miles. After Xue Qinyan came in and saw Lin Su's pale face, she felt a little sad. She said to Lin Zhe, You can go out first. I want to talk to Lin Su. Lin Zhe knew Xue Qinyan and had seen her a few times. He knew that this woman had a good relationship with Qin Sheng and Lin Su. She was very powerful in Shanghai. It was said that her brother was now a leader with real power in the city. Many people respected her. Sister Xue. Lin Zhe gritted his teeth and said. Xue Qinyan said calmly, You can go back. I know everything. I want to talk to her. Hearing this, Lin Su let out a long sigh and finally left. Before she left, she did not forget to remind Lin Su to take care of herself. There was nothing that could not be passed. She still had the Lin family. Hearing this, Lin Su was more or less touched. Lin Zhe was no longer the Lin Zhe. The Lin family finally had a human touch. After Lin Zhe left, only Xue Qinyan and Lin Su were left in the office. Xue Qinyan walked up to Lin Su slowly. She held Lin Su's hand gently and said, I just came back from Beijing. I met Qin Sheng. Lin Su was a little surprised. Sister, you know about it? Do you feel wronged? Xue Qinyan said with pity. Hearing this, all the emotions that Lin Su had been holding in during this period of time gushed out in an instant. It seemed that she finally had a chance to vent. She shook her head with red eyes and said, No. Really? Xue Qinyan asked again. Lin Su still shook her head. Liking someone was liking him. She really did not feel wronged. Xue Qinyan did not know what to say. She really hoped that Lin Su could be with Qin Sheng. But why did God have to torture them? Couldn't they let their lovers be together? Xue Qinyan calmed down and said, He said he was sorry to you and that he would repay you slowly in this life. I wanted to scold him, but I held back in the end because I know that he really loves you. If it were not for the Qin family, he would not have made such a choice. In fact, he is also very painful, but he still has to move forward. Because he is a man of the Qin family, he has no choice. I know. Lin Su was already crying. She knew that she was in pain, and Qin Sheng would be in more pain than her. Xue Qinyan continued, What about the child? What are you going to do? This is the child of him and me. Even if we break up, I will give birth to it. I will raise it alone, Lin Su said bluntly. This was the decision she had made after careful consideration. It had nothing to do with others. It was her own decision. Lin Su's eyes lit up. Xue Qingyan frowned and said, "Have you thought it through? No regrets? In this case, how are you going to get married in this life with a child?" "No regrets. In this life, I am satisfied to have met him. I will not find anyone else," Lin Su said with tears and a smile. Xue Qingyan really felt sorry for Lin Su. She directly hugged Lin Su, patted her shoulder and said, "If you want to cry, just cry. You still have me. I will always be with you." "Sister, did you tell him?" Lin Su intuitively felt that Xue Qingyan had already told Qin Xing about her pregnancy. Xue Qingyan was a little shocked and said, "How did you know?" Lin Su did not answer this question, but continued to ask, "What did he say?" After Xue Qingyan came back to her senses, she said honestly, "I told him about this. Don't blame me. I just felt that it was not worth it for you, so I went to Beijing to question him. After he found out, he was happy and excited, but also painful and tormented. This is your child and his child. He really did not want it to be like this, but what could he do? I asked him, for the sake of the child, can you turn back? He shook his head and said no. It is for the child and for you that he cannot turn back at this time. It will only put you in more danger. I asked him, then what are you going to do? He said if you want to abort the child, he will not stop you, nor will he say anything, because you have the right to choose. It is all his fault. Whether you need it or not, he will find a way to make it up to you in the future. If you are willing to give birth to the child, he hopes that you will leave the country and go abroad, so that you and the child will be safe. At that time, he will find a way to deal with the rest, and one day—" Speaking of this, Xue Qingyan paused. Lin Su could not wait to ask, "One day, what will happen?" Xue Qingyan then continued, "One day, when he has enough strength, he will bring you and the child back. At that time, even if he loses everything and offends everyone, he will not hesitate, because this is what he owes you." After listening to Xue Qingyan's last sentence, Lin Su could not hold it anymore. She hugged Xue Qingyan and cried unscrupulously. Because at this moment she knew that all her grievances were worth it, because he was not that kind of person. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.